Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real-life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back in to another day of BFBS Pro League action. We are 5 weeks into our League of Legends tournament, and we are right in the midst of the division play, which has already cooked up some pretty spicy matchups for us, and I think we've got another fun one for us this evening. But before we get to that, let's do the introductions. Myself is Middlecott, and joining me, as per usual, is the wonderful, is the inevitable Rude Dude. How are you doing, buddy?
Inevitably, that's how I'm doing currently, apparently, and I'm having a really good time as well. It's a lovely day. Done a lot of good stuff with my Monday, I've been informed a good couple of our League of Legends teams in the Pro League. Not to spoil too much, but I know that one of our squads has spent since allegedly 11 a.m. this morning in one call called training or coaching session.
Training.
So, yeah,
vaguely getting better at League of Legends.
Yeah, montage arc, kind of putting themselves sometimes in, making sure that they're spending enough time on the Rift ahead of what is a really important week here in the division stage.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's one of the benefits I think of getting people in the services to play League is like you're not going to have anyone that's like waking up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
No.
You know, maybe if you're not on deployment. Like I don't know how it works. I'm going to be very real with you, but yes. That, I believe, is the Lions, who have got a coach coming down for them, and they're all together, which I think is just so fantastic. It would have been great if some of the sort of behind-the-scenes staff were able to go down and take some photos of them for, like, promo or something, but we weren't able to, unfortunately. I could hear Owen molding in the background.
I mean, he was just so busy, you know? So...
Just so busy. But...
I heard there was a fire involved. I'm not sure what happened, but...
Maybe he said it, maybe he put it out. We don't really know. We are going to have some League of Legends for us this evening. And Rude Dude, I believe if we can get some of these standings up, we can get a little bit of context for why the matchup that we're going to have this evening is so big. It is the Real Humans versus the El Banano Banditos. And Rude Dude, I'm seeing 2-2-0s there on the left-hand side of the screen in Division 1 that will be changing by the end of play today.
Yes, this is a best of 3 between our 2 top teams from Division 1. And they've got such a close run of things throughout every real metric that we've got to track in the division stage. They're 2-0 in terms of games in this tournament. Both of them have only dropped 1. El Banano Banditos being just last week. And obviously for the Real Humans, they dropped 1 game in the earlier stages up against the Lions in one of their best of 2s. So it's a really nice showcase, I suppose, or a really nice opportunity for these 2 teams to go head to head with one another and really give us what should be our best set of best of 3s that we've seen so far this split.
Yeah, I think we are sort of keeping our eyes on this as softly expecting this to be the final because El Banano Banditos and Real Humans haven't really shown up over the course of this tournament, but we've got loads of games going on that unfortunately we aren't going to be able to capture on the stream. The Lions are taking on the Paragons in Div 1, and given that the Lions were able to take a game off El Banano Banditos, maybe they are going to be able to ascend a little bit in the ranks. Then over in Division 2, we've got UVG and Rob Willow Warriors, both currently at 1-1, trying to join Tridents with 2 wins there. And then we've also got a matchup between UKDMEL, Draco, and RAF Renegades, who are both searching for their first series win. But Rude Dude, if we are going to sort of refocus a little bit on the matchup that we're going to be having this evening, what is it about El Banano Banditos? What is it about the Real Humans that has sort of separated them from the rest of the teams at this stage?
Yeah, El Banano Banditos have had this slightly chaotic style where there are definitely exploits to their gameplay that they aren't 100% consistent all of the time. But they tend to have the hand check capability, and that largely actually comes from their bot lane. My eyes initially point to Racecar Worm, who has been an absolute fiend throughout all of the games that we've seen. I've seen 2 pentakills from them already just this split. So who knows what they're doing off stream? Who knows, like, in the games that we're not covering, what is going on in those matches? Because it feels like for Racecar Worm, he is the inevitability of this team.
Yeah, unfortunately, he seems to be carrying a hand injury today. So we'll have to see how that affects them, but very much not a player that's going to stand out initially. They'll get some advantages in the laning phase, but when it comes to the team fights, that's when they can really take over. If we're looking at their opponents in terms of the real humans, Ruggers in the mid lane has to be the standout for me. We saw them play last week. And within these tournaments, the LP differentials can sometimes be a little bit fake if team synergy is something that your opponents have got, and they can sort of use that as an advantage against you. The issue is the real humans, they've got a lot of team synergy, and Ruggers is the highest LP player in this entire league. And he looked like it last week as well.
Yeah, genuinely one of the most standout performances that we've seen, again, across this split. I think that it is that battle between the mid lane and the bot lane here. The real humans mid lane, definitely a really high price point for the bot lane, obviously for El Banana Banditos, as highlighted earlier. So that can be something that we look at, that we expect to really draw our attention through the entire series, to be completely honest with you. High chance for me that this does go to 3 games, that we see mid lane take over 1, bot lane take over another, and that end up taking us to a game number 3. And obviously, if we don't have that game number 3, we've put the message out to all of the teams, hey, if you're in a game number 3 and it's following closely with where we are in this series, just hang fire, right? If we're going to be closing out on a quick 2-0, then we'll try and hop into another game number 3 once again, like we did last week, just so we can get as much of the action covered as possible.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our sort of like bonus game last week. It was a El Banano versus the Lions. Lions were able to get a surprise victory earlier on in the series, but once we got to that game 3, it did raise a couple of questions, like, why have the El Banano Banditos not 2-0'd this? Because they do look very, very strong, but I think that's the potential inconsistency that we need to talk about with this team, whereas the impression of real humans is it's going to be very structured, much safer, much more reliable, I think you could say. But I think something that we've noticed from both of these teams as well is that in terms of the drafts, they have been very cohesive. They have been very consistent. We've not seen random pocket picks being shoved in. It seems like the draft has an identity, and I think that that's going to be a really interesting thing to track for these teams, hopefully through all 3 games this evening.
All right, real humans on the blue side, El Banano Banditos on the red. Another standout player for me from last week, Mitai. Very, very able jungler. Saw the Lilia come out. 9ball as well. Was very active on the roams. So a lot of control across what feels like those supporting cast members for Mitai and 9ball. Definitely excited to see how they interact in this series. And for Dom as well, on that top side, was the focus of the Lions that we got to see in the finals game last week. Still ended up just coming back from that deficit, more than easily able to get an advantage back and then start turning the tides, even against the run of the jungle ganks.
Remember, was it on the Maokai? It's like, you can keep ganking this guy, you can keep killing him, but eventually he's going to do Maokai things as we get a bit later. We are in Champion Select, and you may notice towards the top of your screen, we're seeing a lot of bans focused towards the top lane. I know for the El Banano Banditos that Losing My Sanity is a player that they really want to get counterpick for, has an eclectic pool of early game champions that can just win before 5 minutes. We'll have to see if he's able to pilot any of those. Galio going to be locked in here for the real humans. This is one of Ruggers' staple picks. I remember watching him play this 5 years ago in the UKEL and doing a very fine job for himself there. I'm expecting a high-level performance out of the real humans mid laner again.
And what the response to that Galio is A little bit unique, I would say. You don't typically want to take as much engage into the Galio just because Galio is such a good anti-engage tool with that hero's entrance. Of course, Galio equally as good at jumping forward and making the life there of any targets that get into the backline that little bit more difficult as well. We see the Lilia for Mitai. Again, this is a pick that we highlighted and praised them for just last week. Already seeing the Braum, seeing the Wukong. I don't mind this. Wukong is a pretty decent answer into the Lilia because you've got 2 knockups that you can just sort of E on top of the Lilia for and get that CC down. The Braum can be a little bit situational. If you're unable to land the first Q or get that auto attack down, the stun presence that a Braum has, not as good at locking down a Lilia as they might like.
Yeah, he's also going to struggle to lock down the Caitlyn as well. I feel like Braum really wants to be going up against those low-range ADCs in bot lane because he doesn't have the cleanest gap closing capabilities, but if you land that concussive blows onto someone, you can really make the all-in work for you. Cho'Gath going to be locked in here. We're presuming this is going up towards the top side for losing my sanity. So as it stands, I feel like both of these drafts, Rudude, are waiting for a couple of pieces to tie them together. Galio, Lilia, there's a combo there. Braum, Wukong, Cho'Gath, like there's stuff that works together, but I think we need a little bit of glue to make sure these compositions are proper solid.
Yeah, that's the thing that we're looking for across both sides here. On the blue side, the real humans, and they need something to actually engage. They've got stuff that tries, I guess. They've got Lilia for a little bit of poke into engage off the bowling ball, the Galio that's waiting for somebody to go jumping forward. And then obviously on the other side, El Banano Bandito still need to lock in their carries. They need to lock in the champions that are going to do the damage in these team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still saving that 80 carry pick here for Race Car Worm, which is why it doesn't surprise me that there's a little bit of a feint of a focus towards that coming out from the real humans. But I think already with the Caitlyn locked in bot lane, now taking away the Ashe sort of long-range answer, Race Car Worm is likely to have a much less pleasant laning phase than they've had in the past. And I think that can be a real angle for the real humans to shut down a potential strong point on El Banano Banditos.
A real angle for the real humans. The double real is not. It's a very lethal combo for our blue side. Race Car Worm gets their hands on Sivir. One thing I will say, we highlighted the slight injury that Race Car Worm experienced, or that they sort of mentioned was there. Also called the Champions Heroes. So there's clearly some lack of allegiance to the League of Legends there, which you know, I for one will be picking up on. But the Sivir, especially into the Caitlyn, to bring it back is not an amazing pick in that laning phase. Definitely gets outranged. The Sivir going to try to push in the Caitlyn, but can get punished when they try to do that. I do think that there's an opportunity for the Caitlyn to play out that range, play quite dangerously, and try to bully out the Sivir. Obviously, at a certain point, the breakpoint gets hit, and the Sivir just pushes the waves regardless. And also, Spell Shield is really good versus Caitlyn. 4 really telegraphed spells that you can get on top of and get good value out of as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, it gives the composition for El Banano Banditos the engage that they're really sort of missing. You don't need a firm engage tool when you've got a Sivir, because you can just run all of your guys into the middle of enemy team. And if I've got a Cho'Gath, if I've got a Wukong, I want them in the middle of the enemy team. Rakan going to be an answer here in terms of support role, so giving a little bit more of that engage for the real humans, but the Swain pick coming through, I'm always a bit 50-50 on Swain's here, Rudy. It feels like the pick either completely pops off or it is outraged and completely useless. Do you want to put any bets on how this Swain's going to go?
I can see 4 out of 5 melee champions that are going to be going into the Swain here. So I'm not completely against it. My concern is Lilia can kind of hop in and out of the Swain's range quite easily just because of the movement speed. And importantly, that Caitlyn as well. Very, very good at staying out of range of a Swain. So if that damage being done is well placed by Bessie, then the Swain can have a few problems. I don't mind it versus Galio. I don't really mind it versus the rest of the team. It's literally just that Caitlyn that causes me just the slightest bit of concern.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be really important to track how like the first ultimate usage goes for the Swain. I don't think it's considered as one of the big ults in the pantheon of, well, you got a Nocturne, you got a Jarvan. They need to make those early plays work. But I think that the Swain ultimate sort of allows him to get online. He's not a particularly great champion in consistent fights pre-6. If he can get something good with that ultimate, he can start to snowball and take the game to a much better place.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Swain does so well, is take those mid-game fights and run away with the game. Definitely a champion that, if there is range, can get outscaled, can get outplayed in that later stage of the game. I think that Caitlyn, a really good champion to be able to do that. But obviously, if you get the ball rolling early enough, you get that Rylai's, you're able to keep people at bay. And for me, definitely a bit of a indicator that this Swain could go pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think you bring in the sort of discussion of the Rylai's as well, and I think that pairs up so nicely with what you want to be doing with the Sivir, generating these sort of movement speed differentials to create catches that don't necessarily feel like catches. Do you know what I mean? If this Galio is a little bit too far up, it only takes a Swain tagging him once for the rest of the team to then come and follow up and sort of bundle in. I do worry, though, for the side of El Banano Banditos. What happens if these fights start looking a little bit split? Because I think Lilia, I think Rakan, I think Caitlyn, these are champions that can function when fights get a little bit more scattered. Yeah. But I think a Sivir, Braum, champions that don't necessarily operate as well in that paradigm.
No, you are exactly right. Sivir so good when 5 people are clumped up. The Braum, when they're able to put the spell shield, or the shield rather, up in front of everybody. Again, worth pointing out that the Braum shield this game has value versus Caitlyn. So as long as you're sort of blocking Caitlyn auto attacks, that's all you can really ask for. But you are exactly right that in these Bitty and Bobby engages, it's definitely going to be a favorable situation for the Caitlyn, for the real humans who can navigate these fights that little bit better. I'm definitely excited for this jungle matchup as well. We've seen some really good stuff of Mitai Lilia previously. I think that pre-level 6, the Lilia can have the run of the jungle versus Wukong. And then once you hit level 6, that Wukong then with double knockups with really a high amount of damage in the kit as well, can try to battle back. And we also got to see the Tahm Kench from Dom, I believe, at some stage through last week. And that, I mean, it was up against a very different matchup, but was a absolute terror as well to try and handle. We've seen some really scary Tahm Kench tops in the BFBS Pro League. So I'm going to be adding that one into the repertoire to see how they get on.
Yeah, but I'm worried against the Cho'Gath, though, because in my mind, Cho'Gath is sort of the anti-tank tank. He's got a load more sustain in lane than the Tahm Kench is going to have, and it doesn't matter like how dopamine-inducing the shield you get on Tahm Kench is. Like, fundamentally, you're going up against 1,500 HP worth of true damage, and that could be really big for deleting this front line with the Tahm Kench gun. All of a sudden, there's a lot more vulnerability to the composition that the real humans have got.
There is, and that's something that is definitely going to need to be considered. Just as a quick heads up, the teams forgot to turn off the spectator delay, so we apologize that we've taken 3 minutes to get loaded in, but we will be getting ourselves onto the Rift in no time at all. Oh, and look at that.
Oh,
hello. The wizard. That is some movie magic right there.
We got Nostradamus in the casting booth, you know? We'll see if we can make any more bold predictions for the rest of this game. We are seeing a little bit of a stack here from the real humans towards the top side, looking for an invade, but it is being matched on the bottom side by El Banano Bandito. So just trying to establish a little bit of early vision to scout out where that jungler is starting.
Alrighty. This is going to be a, like you say, quick ward down. That's about it. As we look at the scaling for both of these teams, I do have to just give the initial credit over to El Banano Banditos. I do think that the Sivir scaling, I've just seen too much from Racecar Worm to ever really doubt them in a late game team fight. Bessie on the Caitlyn with that first strike looks to be going more for a ult-oriented build path, the serrated Dirk styles, the lethality of the Caitlyn, more so than something that's going to dish out an insane amount of damage through the mid game, through the late game.
Yeah, should be a little bit more favored in lane. Obviously, you are going to have that range advantage over the Sivir, so you should always be able to proc the first strike first. But this is what Racecar Worm loves to do on the Sivir. You just start W, push in the waves continuously. Really important that you've got enough minions on your side of the lane in the early stages, because 3 of those are basically worth another champion hitting you with auto attacks continuously.
Just taking a quick look there at the junglers.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, Mitai's already top lane.
Yeah, with a top side start. Nice dodge there from Losing My Sanity, but I think they're going to be losing their life. Doesn't burn the flash, will be whittled down, and that's first blood going over to Dom on the Tom Kench.
And that's a complete topside invade into top gank. Now, Mitai probably going to lose some of their bot side camps for this. The question is, do they recall and look to reset back out onto that bot side and prevent the rest of the bot camps going? Or is Jiggle going to be able to get away with what is effectively a vertical jungle here, where you just split the map down the mid lane as opposed to down the river, and each of the junglers still end up with 6 camps?
Yeah, and you'd have to feel that maybe if the Real Humans bot lane was in a more assertive place, this is something they'd be able to go and answer. But you can see Solar Wraith able to roam over on the Braum and pick up that red buff for Jiggle. So a little bit delayed on that play, but fundamentally going to be able to answer it in kind, even though the Real Humans were able to strike first.
All right, a bit of a defense, it looks like, for the Krugs. Rest of the camps have been taken. It looks like Jiggle sticking around for the full 3 camps, which is now making it overall a neutral camp play. Obviously, the first blood going the way of Dom does mean that there was a decided advantage for the Real Humans early on. But that's something that obviously the El Banana Banditos are going to have to take in stride and see if they can try to find some sort of comeback on that top lane.
It's going to be quite difficult at the moment because Jiggle had to go for that late invade for the answer. The top side camps are already respawning in favor of Mitai, so the Wukong really would like to get a gank off in mid lane, but they're not going to be able to find it here. So advantage is slowly building in the favor of the Real Humans, but this bot lane has been consistently a little bit dire for them. Bessie and Nineball haven't really been able to assert themselves on the lane, but they've not had to pay too dear a price for that.
No, and this is a little bit surprising, it's worth saying. The bot lane matchup looks very good. For the Real Humans, Caitlyn outranges the Sivir. Yes, you've got Ricochet, but really the Caitlyn should be looking to try and get some autos in up against the Sivir out of range. And the Rakan as well, very favorable matchup into the Braum. Braum can't frequently get 4 stacks down onto the Rakan before they're able to get in, perform all of the CC, and then get back out using the battle dance. So for Racecar Worm and Solar Wraith, this is a very ideal situation for them, winning in a matchup that they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, you'd have to feel maybe there's an element where Nineball could be going a bit more aggressive, just Wing onto the lane to try and get a little bit more control, to try and clear that out, because Racecar Worm's just able to hit that permanently, then they've not got too much to worry about. We said this top lane matchup could go towards Losing My Sanity, although I feel like they've really lost out with that early gank coming down. The item differential is pretty nasty at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 Ruby Crystals. That's, if memory serves, 300 HP, which, if we take that off of Dom, this lane looks very, very different right now. So the obvious stat check is going to go the way of the Tom Kench, and obviously not particularly gated by the mana pool in the same way that a Cho'Gath is as well. We'll be able to restore a little bit of that via the CS and making sure that they're getting some of that regeneration going. So we do see Jiggle in tandem with the bot lane, looking to pick up this first dragon. Completely uncontested, as Mitai is currently doing the wolves.
Yeah, and I really like the timing of this as well. Yes, it's an ocean dragon, so getting that additional sustain earlier in the laning phase is always going to be better, but doing it on this timer means that El Banana Banditos can go for a lane swap here, put their bot lane towards the top side to help them secure the grubs. Mitai is going for another invade towards these Raptors. Does need to be careful. Jiggle, not quite level 6, but we are approaching that point. Is going to be able to turn up. Smite available for the Wukong. Is going to use it to claim that camp. Mitai still looking quite aggressive with Ruggers at his back, but the play will fizzle out. No more blood in this game just yet.
Yeah, Racecar. Oh, sorry, not Racecar. I've checked the prod chat there by accident. As we've got the The really well-timed smite by Jiggle can be really difficult to outsmite a Lilia who has Watch Out Eep. That W does so much damage if you land it in the center. So timing those two together makes outsmiting a Lilia really, really tricky. Of course, the Wukong has a Q. Crushing Blow is really solid for trying to go for those smite contests. But really well played by Jiggle, and does bode well going forward that even though it was only Raptors, relatively low stakes, that we could see that happen in the future as well.
Nice couple of dodges coming out from Don there on the Tahm Kench. Whilst he does have the advantage, you can never underestimate the amount of burst that can come up from a Cho'Gath post 6. I do think that losing my sanity is going to need to hit a recall fairly soon, as we're starting to see a little bit more mobility from the supports. Nineball just cheating into his own jungle there, and I imagine that we're going to be seeing Solar Wraith matching that, at least in kind.
I mean, we're resetting now, looking to walk out towards this top side. Grub spawning in the not too distant future here. So you can see on that minimap already, Solar Wraith making their way up. Nineball going to be looking to do the exact same thing. It does mean that for the time being, these marksmen will be left on their own down on the bot side. Bessie with a small CS lead actually as the Caitlyn. So starting to amount a little bit of an advantage with that BF sword in the back pocket as well. Might be able to go back, pick up, that pickaxe also. Means that Bessie on a path for the same build path that we saw from them last week, this Infinity Edge rush that did end up paying off for the Caitlyn, and we'll see if it can happen once again.
It's such a curse here for ADCs as Jiggle's going aggressive towards the enemy blue buff. Nineball's in the area. Smite is going to go down in favor of the Wukong, but here comes the Galliwall. Multi-man knockup going on to Threes. The taunt comes out as well, and here comes Meatbo on the Swain. Jiggle with the first kill of the fight, and we said that Banana Banditos needed to use this Swain, and they have done just that. 3 kills, and I think some grubbies are going to be on the table as well.
Yeah, Mutebo there, just absolutely massive in the team fight. All of the damage came down from the real humans, and unfortunately, they couldn't cut through the HP bars. With no top lane there either, the 4v3 handily picked up by El Banano Banditos. Looks like Dom's sniffing around here, but it's going to get chunked out, probably just hops over a wall. I don't expect that they've got the damage to take down the Tahm Kench here, but...
Yeah, I think mana potentially an issue for losing my sanity, as well as all 3 of those grubs are picked up, and the gold leader swung right back in El Banano Bandito's favor. 1,000 gold to the good, and you're going to be looking in the jungle. You're going to be looking in the mid lane for those leads, and hopefully for the El Banano Banditos for where they can gain more advantages.
It is likely going to be out of those short order skirmishes. Anything that happens without the Caitlyn that includes the Swain should be winning for El Banano Banditos. Like we've mentioned, this Swain is just so good versus all of the melee champions that have been drafted. Kind of the Exodia R5 pick that you'd be looking for. Exactly why you should be giving counter picks to your solo lanes. It's really important that they've also got the champion pool. So shout out to Mutebo, who we have seen be able to play very diverse range of champions in this tournament already. The Swain, another one to add to that list, where this has completely warped the draft. It's completely warped how the game is played. Definitely for the betterment of El Banano Banditos.
And as a pick, a nice one to be able to pull out, because like you said, really, really nice into this draft, and it's a sort of game where you'd love to be able to pick Swain specifically, and given that your mid laner, well, it seems like he can play it. You're pretty off to the races here for El Banano Banditos. Do have a dragon spawning in 30 seconds time. Bot lane reset from the red side team, so they're going to be coming into that fully powered up. Hex optics completed for Race Car Worm. Just needs 3 more items, and then we're going to see him play some League of Legends.
Yeah, lovely stuff. The Sivir, obviously, big fan of that 4-item power spike. Just to harken back here, this will be one for the old heads of League of Legends. We know that Mutebo is a Swain player because they've got the best old Swain skin. Pre-rework, the Northern Front Swain was the only viable Swain skin that existed. So the fact that we've still got that being used by Mutebo is a clear indicator that there's some talent and some time put into this champion.
Yeah. I was very clearly playing Swain back when Izzy was throwing a bird at the enemy team and just hoping it would deal enough damage. Trinity Force as well means that Jiggle can move on to that Mountain Drake without too much contest. And 10 minutes in, or 11 minutes in, Banana Banditos can be very happy with how the early game has gone, especially considering all of those scaling elements of the composition we've already highlighted.
Yeah, absolutely. They should just be a team that, for all the money here, can continue to go by that scaling. They've got the Drakes going their way as well. First items have come across the board that haven't quite been matched by their counterparts. Only real area of the map that seems to have a slightly larger hole is this top side.
Yeah, this Cho'Gath is dead as a dodo. I think the Galio ult was maybe a little bit overkill, but if Ruggs is going to be coming in, he might as well grab that extra gold. A response here from the Real Humans, but those are some big cooldown ultimates they've used to get that.
They are, and I don't actually know what this gets for them. Like, is a fed Galio the thing that takes you over the edge in this game? My sort of general reaction to that would be no. Want to be getting gold onto the Caitlyn, if anybody, maybe onto the Lilia. I could argue as an area here that we could find some sort of success. It is also worth mentioning here, Ruggs has gone for a very AP-centric first item. I want to see if that continues as the build develops.
Well, I mean, it looks like a pretty good idea. Leandri's really good against champions that are going to be stacking that HP. Cho'Gath is going to be stacking the HP. Wukong isn't going to be stacking it, but he's going to be getting it from his items. Then there's Swain passive as well, and the Braum. So I think can have a lot of high value, but does make the Galio a little bit squishier if he gets focused down.
So we'll see if this ends up being a full AP Galio or just a means to an end in terms of taking down some of the tanks. Also worth mentioning that at some stage this game, somebody's going to need some anti-heal. That Swain is definitely a problem, and I might like to see that actually probably on your Lilia. Just such a good applier of the Morello's effect of the grievous wounds. So if you can get that across multiple targets in a team fight, any other sources of healing that might come through, just going to be incredibly easy to deal with.
Yeah, it is. Feels like it's a game that hasn't really exploded as of yet. I think both teams are going to be happy with the strength of their compositions going a little later. Obviously, we are favoring El Banano Banditos, but it's not like this Lilia is going to be doing no damage late game. And whilst Caitlyn does have that sort of trough in the mid game, once you get to sort of 30, 35 minutes, having an AD carry with 650 range feels very, very nice. As bit of an extended play here in the top lane. Losing My Sanity is a level down, but they feel emboldened to go forward onto Dom. They need to be careful because Lilia is in the area. Gets the knock-up going down, but the Time Kedge will survive. The Cho'Gath will not be so lucky. It feels like every time Losing My Sanity goes for something aggressive, Mitai is there to sort of pick up the pieces.
Yeah, we might need to see some sort of development from Losing My Sanity. Recognize, well, if they're playing like this, possibly they have a jungler in their back pocket, but what's happening on the flip side of the map is usually what we'd look to see from El Banano Banditos, and last two times that we've had to ask that question, the answer hasn't really been anything. Haven't seen that response, haven't seen a really good move onto the bot side of the map, no dives onto Bessie, onto Nineball or anything of that nature, so these kills are just free currently for the Real Humans, and it has taken them out to a gold lead. As we're seeing Dusk and Dawn now begun by Dom, and that's going to be a long ways away. I think that item sort of really well aligned with what I feel items just in general should hold. It's a very, very bad item on its components, but it's incredible when it's fully upgraded.
Oh yeah, the effect is what you're picking it up for, and I think whilst we've gone, okay, let's get some gold on the Lilia, let's get some gold on the Caitlyn, Time Kedge can be pretty gross if he's just allowed to waddle all the way through the game. Another objective take coming through for the El Banano Banditos. They have been clean on these through the early stages, and we've got another dragon spawning in 40 seconds. If they can pick that up, they're on their way to a very, very early soul.
Alrighty, and like you said here, that early soul could be the thing that just takes El Banano Banditos to a pretty decently quick victory here. The gold itself doesn't dictate that that's going to happen, doesn't look like. That will be the way that this game plays out. But just with the power that we know they're going to have in these team fights, the power that we've already seen in these team fights, I think around that dragon is where we're going to find Mitai fishing.
Looking for a play onto the Wukong, forcing the flash away. Very long chase coming out from Nibel. They really want to take out the enemy jungler, and they will be successful. Wonderful. A lot invested, but they're going for even more as Dom flashes forward to get the eat, comboing it into the taunt, into the CC. The Real Humans showing what their composition can do, and it looks like they're going to stop that Drake stack.
This is what we're after here. These small, bitty plays, the little bits of scrappiness that don't allow for the 5 versus 5s. It's what the Real Humans composition really excels at. Mitai, sleeping tiger there, hidden in a bush, just pops out, gets the sleep down, and it doesn't matter how far Jiggle looks to use the clone, the flash, they're calm with that movement speed, able to follow up.
Yeah, I will say it's been a very impressive early game coming out from Mitai with the split focus that we saw in terms of the early jungle pathing, really hammering down on that top lane to get even more advantages, has been a part of every kill for the Real Humans in this game. And I'm going to be honest, Rude, dude, that doesn't feel like a rare feat for Mitai. It feels like the sort of thing that this guy just does.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It seems to be part and parcel of kind of just how the game gets played. So can probably expect to see a little bit more of that continuing.
Ooh, Jiggle is here for a little bit of help for his top lane. And Ruggers flashing away, no ultimate on the Wukong. So Ruggers looking like he's just going to be able to walk this one out. Wait, what?
Leandri's burns down the Cho'Gath with the minions as well.
Oh, no.
Mitai's up here.
Yeah, Jiggle is around. No ultimate available for the Lilia, but you see the slows, you see the damage stacking up, and there's very little that the Wukong could do. There's been one good play in this game from the El Banano Banditos, and we will give them credit for that, but it's the Real Humans that have consistently been doing things on the map.
Yeah, and doing them just that little bit better as well. If we take a look at the overall advantages, it's now a 3k gold lead. Mitai was sort of running roughshod through the jungle, looking to try and find the Raptors on every single respawn. Now looking at that gold lead as well. 1k in the jungle, 1.5 in the top lane. A real decided lead, actually, for Dom in that. And in that mid lane as well, worth mentioning that there's a decent lead. And that area of the map that we were highlighting as a real pinch point potentially for the Real Humans is going absolutely fine. Bessie dead even, in fact, with the Sivir.
But we do have a 9 CS advantage for Racecar Worm, and we've seen what he can do with advantages even that minuscule. Dom going to be able to pick up this tower on the bot lane, it should be. And I think that's what you need to do next, right? It's all very well and good getting these kills, but you need to turn that into structural advantages so that you can progress forward for the rest of this game. That is exactly what Dom has done there, growing that gold lead slowly, but ever so incrementally.
And I like that here by Dom. That's the goal, really, for El Banano Banditos, is to stop that from happening. For the Real Humans, it's, as you've highlighted, try to find those objectives that are outside of the scope of neutrals. Try and lay down some advantages on the map, more so than just getting the kills and doing nothing with it. Can be through taking jungle camps as well. We are starting to see Mitai begin to open out a small advantage in that respect as well. So it's definitely worth considering how easily the Real Humans can look to push the pace of this game, especially when they are quite heavily snowballing across the board.
Yeah, we've still got that Herald in the back pocket of Jiggle, so might be using that relatively soon to get a charge onto mid and get a little bit more gold in the back pockets of El Banano Banditos. We should know, Racecar Worm is on 2 items. We are 50% of the way there for the Racecar Worm Sivir pentakill machine to get online. But I think, Rude, dude, even if it does, as long as the Real Humans maintain this sort of lead, it's going to be really difficult for him to interact with the game.
It is, but we've seen this time and time again. So I'll always be giving Racecar Worm the benefit of the doubt until I'm given a reason not to. Is the way I'm going to look at it, and this game could well be that.
Jiggle with a bit of a move onto 9ball. There comes the ultimate from mid-side. Glacial Fissure goes wide, doesn't really secure anything. Charm going down onto the Wukong, who uses the Cyclone, but is too little too late. It's another fight that the Real Humans just completely take over. A double coming out for Mitai as losing my sanity teleports into the play, but he is just going to be another death on the docket. A triple for the Lilia, and I don't know if they're done. No CC landing onto that Swain, so they're going to get a little bit of tower damage, but with Tom positioning this aggressively, you just feel like he's going to wind out that tongue and go for one more kill.
Yeah, and that's the power that they'll have with this Tahm Kench, the front line, the tankiness. And they're heading towards the Baron now, Middlecott. They've started it up. They've got a 1.5 item Caitlyn and double Iandri's here, so it actually goes down pretty quickly, all things considered. Not sure if it's fast enough, but down to 4k. Jiggle not really working over. This is the first Baron of this series getting picked up by the Real Humans. Again, a reminder this team were the 3-time back-to-back-to-back champions of the UK DMEL, so they are not a team to be slouched at, despite what we've been mentioning and the power that we know exists in El Banano Banditos.
Yeah, and I think that we were discussing just 5 minutes ago how Real Humans were consistently going for plays. They were consistently making things happen. They get that fight, and they get a huge advantage off the back of it. 7,000 gold to the good. That Sivir isn't going to come online in time. It's all about getting these structures down and picking up those objectives that you weren't able to grab in the first 15 minutes. Oh, losing my sanity, going on to the Caitlyn. Bessie able to get on out of there. Now here comes the re-engage. Double charm and a knockup, but we need to look on the backside. We've got Jiggle trying to cause chaos, but he's just made himself dead. All that time, the Real Humans were able to take away the dragon as well. So still gaining these advantages, even when El Banano Banditos look for something of their own.
Yeah, and I think that the important part here is looking at the Swain. Is Mutebo ever there? Because the space that he buys is important. It's the thing that holds their 5v5 together. So if the Swain's ulted in front of everybody, that's when they can look for these fights. If that's not happening, the Swain pick, we sort of praised it for being such a lauded pick versus all of these melees. They don't actually use it. It doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, well, I will say, to our credit, I think we were conceiving the Swain in an even game. That is fundamentally not the state they're having to interact with. And when you're playing a champion that does stat check to a degree, like the Swain does, being behind is the worst thing possible. You pop that ultimate, you are still dying so quickly to Mitai, to Bessie, to Ruggers, to Dom as well. We can't ignore the damage that this Tom Kench is able to put out.
No, you are exactly right, Middlecott, and I praise you for that, because that is something that they'll really need to consider as well. Is this Swain actually going to be able to stand up and tank the 5 members? And that's then when the question becomes, well, maybe he's not able to tank the 5 members well enough, but maybe they're able to tank 5 members for long enough for Racecar Worm to get through the other 5 on the flip side. So it's a very, very close run contest, and it's a fine line that El Banano Banditos are running. Fortunate, or unfortunately for them rather, they are currently losing it.
Oh, and losing my sanity is very close to losing of life. That knock-up from Jiggle just about keeps the Cho'Gath alive, and now the Wukong going back in, but they really just cannot contest the damage coming out from this Tom Kench pick. One more Ton Lash would do it. Doesn't quite connect onto the Wukong, but there's such freedom in the way that Dom can play, and that's the last thing you want to give a Tom Kench.
Yeah, and I don't quite know how either. Felt like the Cho'Gath was walking away on 1 HP. Also managed to tank an ace in the hole off the backside of it, so clearly had enough HP, but they've lost now 2 turrets in the tier 2 sense. I think they lost all 3 of their tier 1s, maybe one before the Baron went down, but the gold lead has absolutely ballooned here. 10k, and game number 1 is looking incredibly one-sided after this 15 minutes, I'll call it, of very tense gameplay.
Yeah, and Rudy, you were there with me. The chat, the viewers weren't, but Owen, our producer, well, not our producer, but the guy that sits in the Discord call, promised us we were going to have some nice, close, contested series, and I'm just not getting that. The Real Humans seem to be a level above, which is surprising considering how well we've seen Banana Banditos dismantle the Royal Navy Krakens, how they've been able to go up against and beat the British Army Lions. This is not a bad team that the Real Humans are doing this to. They're just showing a level which we haven't really seen in this competition yet.
No, and I think that that's the power that sort of 3 back-to-back titles gives you. So the Real Humans definitely showcasing a next level, as you allude to. Of course, for El Banano Banditos, maybe a little bit of a reality check. This is the first time these 2 teams have played against each other. El Banano Banditos only lost their first game in this entire tournament last week. So they lost that game, seem to have punched themselves back into gear for that series, put on a 2-1 win. They're going to have to try to do something similar here today, it looks like, as really this is a really difficult position to find themselves in, down 11,000 gold. They don't have the gold to stand up to particularly anybody across the Real Humans, who are by and large across the board about a level up, about a level and an item up over their counterparts.
75% of the way there, Rude Dude. Racecar Worm has unlocked his 3rd item. I could be praising this guy, I could be harping on this for nothing, but I am so worried for the real humans once that Civic gets online because Racecar 1 is so damn good at piloting the champion. It is going to be harder for him though because he's got to go up against so much more movement speed and so much easier rotations coming out from the real humans as they stack up these Cloud Dragons. And if they get that soul, they're going to be moving so fast. They've basically each got their own personal Sivir ult.
Yeah, and the Sivir itself, one of the crucial points of playing this champion is what do I need to spell shield? For example, I can get hit by a Lilia Q, that's fine, but if that Lilia then ulties, I'd need to spell shield. That's similarly with a Galio Q, I can let that one tank me, and then I'll need to be using the spell shield for the CC. That's what the Sivir is really looking for, as it looks like a play on the top side is attempting to be made here.
I mean, this is what you do. You go towards the global, you fight the guy where he is so he can't join and ruin your day, but all it takes is a teleport towards the top side from Dom, and El Banana Banditos have to run away. All this while, the real humans are able to claim that Mountain Dragon. So in terms of fundamentals of League of Legends, when one team is doing something on one side of the map, you go to the other. But with the gold difference, even that doesn't work for El Banana Banditos.
No, it's a really solid response as well, and they're going to immediately start up the Baron here. No vision on the objective proper, but I say but, I'm pretty sure this just goes down without a fight here. This looks like El Banana Bandito saying they can have the Baron. We need a little bit more time. We need that last Whisper item onto the Sivir. Look at the HP, right? You highlighted the fact that El Banana Banditos are going to be stacking it up well. Got Galio on one side, Tom Kench on the other. The Lilia gets a good amount of HP in her build as well. So really, a Mortal Reminder could be nice. Lord Dominic's going to be probably that little bit nicer. We'll see if Racecar Worm can get there before the next fight happens, but Baron going to be there. I think that if I'm the real humans here with an 11k gold lead and a Baron at my back, I'm looking for the game.
Yeah, you just sort of walk down mid lane, ignore whatever the Sivir is going to be doing, and kill everybody in your path. We are seeing the Banana Banditos try and push out these side lanes, which is good, right? You don't want to have to deal with multiple waves of Baroned up minions, but they need to defend mid lane at some point because this inhib is going to be going down. I don't think there's anything they can do. I think they just have to give this up.
Yeah, Mutebo's in the top lane trying to find gold for them.
Oh,
so
surely not.
Rylai's is a big item for the Swain, so if they can pick that up before the next fight again, that could be the ticket, the route to success for them. Could give that space over to the Sivir that we've been highlighting. So the Rylai's picked up here for Mutebo, and I think that giving the one mid lane inhibitor is okay. The second they start giving the second, that could well be a problem for them.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for Racecar Worm's next back, if I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I think that is the only thing that matters to El Banana Banditos is, does this Sivir have the items that she needs yet? Because whilst a Cloud Soul and the Cloud Dragons are going to make it harder to get on top of the real humans and means they're going to be able to cut you a damn sight more easily, it's not more damage. And Sivir has so much damage once you get to this point. We are looking like we're going to be getting a Lord Dom's Regard, which I think you need to burn through the HP bars, but you also need a little bit of anti-heal, and no one on El Banana Banditos has that yet. Dom
Mutebo
looking for Mutebo. Rugger's finding him in the jungle. You just can't stand there. You just can't stand there anymore. The Swain going to go down for the first time this game, and he may still be dead when his Nexus falls. Losing my sanity going forward to trade a little bit. Here comes the push.
Didn't use the flash or the ulti, so if El Banana Banditos can stall for 40 seconds, they can get that Swain back in. Losing my sanity, playing again on the very edges here, looking to use as much of the HP bar as possible to dissuade any sort of fight from the real humans, but there's no angle that's good here for El Banana Banditos, and that's inhibitor number 2 now open.
Yeah, respawn coming through from the Swain in 15 seconds. I'm not sure that's going to be quite enough time for him to get here. The real humans open up inhib number 2, cheating towards the mid lane to empower that push a little bit, but I don't think they're going to go for the jugular quite yet. They've been very controlled, they've been very calm, they know they've got a Dragon Soul spawning in a minute and a half, and they know there is still one more inhib on the map for them to take. So not getting over aggressive, just going to reset, consolidate their power level, and come back for another bite of the cherry.
I think importantly, the Baron buff wearing off there as well, maybe a little bit of a saving grace two El Banano Banditos. I think up against a Baron, it's much more difficult to try and clear that wave, and might have been the thing that incentivized the Real Humans to have either stayed or backed off, depending on what the timer of it would be. I actually think here, if Jiggle can get to that Black Cleaver, that could be really important.
hello.
Looking for another fight, though.
We're going in. Dom with a very aggressive Abyssal Dive is going to force the TP in from losing my sanity as the Real Humans converging, congregating, coalescing around the mid lane. That Swain already having to pop the ult is going to get engaged onto Burning Low, still staying alive though. No one has fallen off the board just yet as Jiggle is running interference on the back line. But look at the frontline health bars for Real Humans. They have not moved an iota. And now they can just clean up everyone in their way. Race can't win, the last one left, but they will fall without answer. A clean ace in a clean game from the Real Humans. 18-3. They are going to take game one of this series, and El Banano Banditos are going to be scratching their heads about what just happened. They have been clarted.
A triple kill for Bessie in the final team fight. This Caitlyn, with that 100% kill crit chance, was able to absolutely mow people down. The late game threat. I wasn't sure about the first strike. I got proved wrong in a very big way there. Racecar not able to live up to the Sivir Fantasy 4th item. Didn't get picked up until after the grey screen had been hit. And like you say, for the Real Humans, just an incredibly clean game, top to bottom. They did everything they were supposed to do. One swift fight around that 15-minute marker, and they never looked back. It was a really controlled, really measured approach by them. Once they got that advantage, they didn't let go of it, though.
Yeah, and save for that one play into the topside jungle early on from El Banano Banditos, we very legitimately could be looking at a game here where Real Humans didn't drop a single kill. And I think that is very indicative. It's one thing to beat a team by outfighting them. You lose a couple of guys each time, but as long as you get the advantages, you're going to win that game. This was a completely different story from the Real Humans. It didn't feel like El Banano Banditos could contest them post 15 minutes at all.
Yeah, it's another thing to completely wipe them in every single fight that you take, and not just one. It's all of them back to back to back, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Right, the usage of their HP bars was perfect. They were appropriately tanking the exact amount of autos that they could. They'd all get in, then get out. We saw it at the end there. Mitai was going to lose the 1v1 versus a Sivir, but wait, I've got that X Factor. I've got the Zhonya's to get myself golden and make sure that my team can come in and back me up, rather. So they just know exactly what they're playing with, and they've clearly got the experience here.
Yeah, and I think that for El Banano Banditos, you got to forget about that game, because if you think about that game, you were going to dive into a depressing, wallowing pit that you're not going to escape in time to get onto game two. Behind the scenes, production, whatever he does, Owen, has double super promise that the next game is going to be closer. So you're going to have to stick around for a few minutes to see if he's right. We'll see you in a few.
Out here, every millisecond counts. And in here, every millisecond counts too. Never let delays ruin the action. Upgrade your Wi-Fi to Wi-Finity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off your first 3 months.
everybody. Welcome back to the BFBS Pro League here on the League of Legends, where this Monday, Dude, we witnessed a shellacking in Game 1 of this series. The Real Humans just bringing too much for the El Banana Banditos to deal with.
They did. It was a absolute whitewash, right? 30 or 3 kills to 21 or something like that, and all three of those kills found within the first 5 minutes of the game. You take those off the board, and it is just a absolute slaughter with no response. So eyes now firmly on El Banana Banditos to see if they can bounce back in a similar fashion to how they did in last week's series up against the Lions, where they ended up with 1 game loss, managed to find a series win 2-1 all the same, and we'll see if they can do that again here tonight up against the Real Humans, who are just much stiffer competition.
Yeah, I think that's that's going to be the sort of wrinkle, the caveat to that. It's like, well,
Yeah,
that's like reverse sweeping a completely different team. I'm going to be real with you because the Real Humans do look different. I think in terms of things that we're maybe thinking that El Banana Banditos can go moving forward is play a bit more through that bot lane. I think we've talked about how Race Car Worm is very good at sort of going under the radar and getting into advantageous spots a little bit later. I think you could be a bit more blatant with it, Rude Dude. Gank bot lane 4 times before 10 minutes and get this really good AD carry to a point where they can play the game.
Yeah, I think that's the other angle of this, right? Is you can probably rely a little bit on the late game insurance policy, but also why don't we make sure that why don't we give them the opportunity to flex the muscles earlier on into the game, get them to that late game that little bit earlier, and absolutely steamroll everybody through that means. So I'm completely for that. Didn't really feel like we got to see all that much out of Jiggle, which is a little bit of a abnormality. So frequently we're seeing Jiggle go absolutely mental just in the early stages of the game and really make stuff work. But like we've said, today, this game number 1, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think that maybe you've got to look at the caliber of jungler that he's going up against. I think Mitai played an absolute blinder through the early stages and identified the lane that he could gank and not necessarily the lane that he should gank. Yeah, Fed Harm Kenches, whatever, but if you're moving that around the map and actually using it to get the rest of your carries fed, then you're still functioning in the same role. You're just doing it with a couple extra steps. We are into Champion Select of Game 2 of this series, expecting to see very similar bans to the previous game, completely identical. Noticing here that the Real Humans really focusing down on losing My Sanity's pool. He wants to play the Olaf, he wants to play the Urgot, he wants to get these early leads, and he just wasn't able to do that last time out.
He was not. Definitely a sort of struggle for losing My Sanity in game number 1, largely off of Mitai. It is worth saying the impact that the Lilia had on that top side, definitely very profound. An Ashe early lock-in here for Race Car Worm, so whether that is then going to be paired up with the Seraphine or a Lulu or maybe something that's a little bit more aggressive, either way it is a 2 versus 2 champion that you're expecting to come out on top.
Yeah, and I think it operates in a nice place for Race Car Worm. You can put focus into the Ashe early, get her head, and then her ability to keep targets in range means that she functions as a bit of a hyper carry, whilst maybe not providing as much damage in those instances. But equally, you can just leave her alone, do things in other places on the map, and then you're still going to have all of that utility and that enchanted crystal arrow once we get a little bit later.
So the Lulu here is denied, the Syndra locked in alongside it. I think that the Seraphine here then just becomes a surefire lock, which is probably the better side of the matchup that I prefer to take, if I'm being honest, as El Banana Banditos. The Ashe Seraphine has been prolific for just so long. If you were looking to deny, I wouldn't have minded taking the Seraphine, pairing it up with something else, and then forcing the Lulu hand more than anything. But it does give the Syndra as well, which is worth saying here. So we are going to get Rugged Syndra, which I haven't seen, but based off of Sworn Testament of Middlecourt, I'm given to believe is probably pretty decent.
Ruggers is good at League of Legends. Yeah. I'm just going to leave it out there. Twisted Fate, going to be a lock in here for me, Beatbo, which is a different style. And I think it's something that we've seen from El Banana Banditos a little bit more in the past. They're really favoring these globals, the ability to turn up anywhere on the map that you are needed. I think you need that capability versus the Real Humans because they were so good last game at just going for plays, at just finding them and being able to respond to them, I think would be very, very nice if you're the mid laner for El Banana Banditos.
Now, I'm looking at Trundle for Mitai here. I don't know if that's in the pool in any sense, but it's obviously the traditional counter to a Sejuani. And also noticing here that the Seraphine not getting picked up in these first 3 picks does leave it open to being banned by the Real Humans if they so desire. Maybe that's a little bit of a game that El Banana Banditos are playing. They hovered the Seraphine, elected not to take it. Said, yeah, you can ban it if you like. Maybe they've got something else up their sleeve. And we'll see now whether or not things like the Trundle do end up getting taken off the board. But for El Banana Banditos, they've got some really good lockdown, incredible CC. Does mean that anybody who wants to build Mercury Treads here gets the absolute godsend of value, because everything currently is just CC that you can reduce the duration of. Tenacity is going to be very, very valuable.
Yeah, and I think whilst they've got a lot of this CC, the Sejuani does feel a little bit out of place. I feel like in terms of tanks, yes, she is really good for going for that instant pick, just locking someone down and you can blow them up immediately. But I think she can also function as a little bit of a skirmisher if you've got a couple of melees alongside you. And it's not like it's the tankiest team that we're seeing over here on the side of Real Humans. So if you've got something aggressive you can pair up with the Sejuani, that can sort of evolve into a little duo unto itself that can rain terror on everything that Real Humans are trying to do.
Things like the Renekton, obviously, on that top side, that just pair so well with the Sejuani to be considered as well. For losing my sanity, obviously, a very big... we've seen a Garen once or twice from them as well. So definitely the type of champion that we might look toward, as Trundle's still available. So we'll see whether or not that gets picked up by Mitai, or if we're going to go for something a little bit more comfortable, a little bit different here. I think so far, for the Real Humans, they've got a very good baseline of a composition. They'll be able to blow up one target with the Syndra ulti, and I love Syndra and Jinx as a duo. Jinx wants the resets. Syndra is so good at finding that first kill in a fight, so pairing those two together just works incredibly well. Xin Zhao isn't a Trundle, but it is somebody who can knock up and attempt to isolate a single target. You audaciously charge in, you knock everybody around them away, and you just pick off that one target quite quickly.
I think importantly as well, the Xin Zhao has a little bit more of that reach. If you use the Wind Becomes Lightning, you can get onto the Switch of Fate, you can get onto the Ashe, get yourself in the mixer, and really start to cause a little bit of chaos. The lock-in here from El Banana Banditos, though, this is...
That's in the mixer.
They
bought the cake stand
in the mixer.
Yeah,
we were born in the mixer. We live in the mixer.
You were merely molded by it. This is... This is them getting in there with the Garen, with the Nautilus. Now it confirms that aggressive play style, and I was sort of expecting this sort of aggressive approach as the Volibear gets locked in on R5 for the Real Humans onto that top side. So we'll see a little bit more from Dom here in terms of that tank play and the durability wars, the war of attrition that we get to see from these champions that we've seen a couple of times now. I like this Nautilus pick for Solar Wraith. We were talking in the green room, a very intelligent player of League of Legends, can move out onto the map and will have better roams now, just by product of the champions that have been picked in that support role. Also a champion and a pick that you can look to punish this Jinx and Lulu with.
Yeah, I think for El Banana Banditos, I think you can take any 2 or 3 champions they've got here, and that is going to be a functional core. That's going to be something that can work together, even if it's like Sejuani, Twisted Fate, Ashe, which I think is the most cursed combination you could possibly get. You've got a load of CC, and you've got enough damage to get you over the line versus a team that isn't going to be particularly innately tanky. We do need to watch for the drain and the fight stalling abilities of that Volibear and of the Xin Zhao in particular. But these are still champions that you can burst down if you get that CC chain absolutely spot on.
It is. And then we need to look at the other side of the coin, right? We talked about El Banana Banditos and how well their composition can thrive with CC. Let's look at how easy it is for that first target to be taken down. We highlighted the reset composition, the reset nature of the Jinx. I think a Volibear and a Xin Zhao, they pair quite nicely with focusing one target and making sure that that target dies.
Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see how they find those angles, though. I feel like there is a bit less robustness from the composition of the Real Humans here, and if those bruisers in the Volibear and the Jinzhou aren't able to stand up at the beginning of the fight, it becomes really difficult to get the lockdown, to get that reset, and to take over the rest of the game. Real Humans, though, they've got a game in their back pocket. They do not need to worry. If they lose this one, they've still got an additional chance to close this series out. For El Banana Banditos, it's not do or die, but getting a win here would really cement yourselves as the second best team in the league, potentially first best if you take the whole series, which I think you need to do after whatever that game one was.
Yeah, definitely. It was not close, really, by any means. Do have a pause here. We'll get updates on that as soon as we have them to you. But for this game, I do want to draw our attention quickly to summoner spell choices of note. Quickly, that Losing My Sanity has gone for the Ignite, looking for kill pressure, but more importantly, that Ruggers has elected for the Cleanse here this game, which I think is a very wise choice. Maybe one that could have been taken by Bessie as well. But the Syndra in this mid lane won't have teleport, which means that any bad trades through the early stages of this game are going to result in some going home and not being able to teleport back into that lane. Highlighted that Bessie hasn't gone for it should mean that 9ball is opting into that Mikhail's as a first item.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. And I think that the Cleanse actually opens up a bit of an opportunity for Jiggle here on the Sejuani. So often it's that there's no point ganking a lane if the enemy lane has got teleport, because they're just going to come straight back. They're going to be wary of that potential, and you're not going to gain all that much of it. I reckon Jiggle could very easily just chain gank into mid lane, force waves into Ruggers Tower whilst they're not there. And if this Syndra falls to a pretty significant level disadvantage, then that opens up more opportunities for Meebo to get around the map and do the things that Twisted Fate wants to do.
I think they're getting those roams down, obviously. The sort of core play pattern is Losing My Sanity going very aggressive early on here versus Dom. Love that trade. Didn't know what level, what skill they'd taken. Oh
no!
Whoa.
Whoa! Hey, yo, hey! Oh, hey!
Alrighty.
So,
not sure what's happened there.
So, how does this affect the game plan routine?
Well, let's see. Let's see who's got the pushing wave, because that's actually how this matters now. Is if the wave's pushing into blue side, basically whoever the wave's pushing into, it's favorable for them. Because this is now an XP rat race. I will also say Bessie did manage to pick up a cull off the base, air quotes, and that's a really big deal as well. So even if they end up going neutral from here, Bessie is going to be consistently getting more gold for doing the same thing.
Yeah, and I think it's dangerous to give early gold to a Jinx, because she's a champion that just needs to get over the line. If she just gets the first kill in a fight, then she becomes worth basically 280 carries at that point with the amount of damage that she can rain down. And we said that Racecar Worm and Solar Wraith needed to get a bit more done in the early game with a bit more proactivity. They've got the champions to do it, but with all of their summoner spells being expended, I don't think they're going to find much in this lane for the next few.
Yeah, they're probably going to struggle, is the blanket truth. Maybe level 1 is just not the window, and again, against Lulu, highly possible that level 1 is just not the window to take it, but as you get some levels in those skills, could be the time to go for it.
9ball taking a fair chunk of damage, but Racecar also losing out. Jiggle is in the area, and we wanted them to get a bit more active, and it looks like that's what they're doing. Solar Wraith stepping up, just looking for that auto, gets the slow. 9ball going to be locked down. First blood, well, in a traditional sense, going over to El Banana Banditos. At least we saw that kill.
Yes, in these are the object permanence first blood is gone the way. It's gone their way. Bessie now isolated under this turret. Need that wave to go in. Oh no.
Yeah, Solar Wraith is going to start up the tank. The Nautilus is going to walk on out of there. Will trade a kill over, so not the worst thing in the world for Bessie, but they are going to miss out on so much XP as this wave is crashed under tower.
Yeah, and I actually don't mind that. I think if they'd have waited to crash that wave under the turret, then the Lulu gets back and the dive becomes even harder. So they just kind of force it and say, I'm happy to lose my Nautilus to make this play happen. Does give a second kill over to the Jinx, but as you highlighted, it's the experience gap that is truly important here for Bessie. We'll see if they can bounce back, and with the Racecar Worm can turn that into a sizable advantage now on the Ashe.
It's looking for an aggressive move into the enemy jungle. Does have 9ball in the area to support them, and Solar Wraith isn't going to die here, but they're not able to do whatever they wanted to do, as the Jinzhou has just stood in the way. I will say, this is the kind of thing that we saw from El Banano Banditos early on last game. They were going tit for tat. They were trading evenly, but as things got a little later, they just started to fall away. I love the respect from Solar Wraith there, recognizing that they don't know where the Xin Zhao is, which could mean he's in any of those bushes, so doesn't step too far forward and is going to be able to get back to lane safely.
And we'll see whether or not safely is consistent upon this dive as well. Not going to actually happen, and it gives a little bit of a window here for Race Car Worm just to pick up some farm. Solar, if looking to freeze this, don't think they're going to be allowed to do that, just in the face of both of the carries there in the bot side. Worth highlighting that the Cull is going to do very good work for the Jinx as Bessie as well. Working towards, you presume, the Hex Optics on that Jinx first of all, further adding to the reset nature of herself. Ulti bot lane.
Oh, and this is what the Twist of Fate wants to do. Mutebo with the last slither of mana delivers a gold card to Bessie's face. As well as the third death of the game for that Jinx. It's all very well and good, her getting kills, but if she's not spending time on the Rift, then she is going to fall behind.
And I like this. Focus the Jinx, focus the true carry of this game. It's going to make the Jinx's life much more difficult, and in that eventuality, right? Oh, Jinx got a reset. Well, she's only got one item versus three. Then we end up finding that wasn't the be-all and end-all win condition that we are looking for. And also, El Banano Banditos look to turn it into a neutral objective. Already in those kills, doing better than they did in game number one middle cop. They got 3 at about 3 minutes, and I was waiting, sort of thinking, bated breath, is that it once again? The answer now, decidedly no.
Gotta be careful here. Oh no, Solar Wraith!
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I really hope our social media manager wasn't looking at that, because I fear that's going to be on Twitter in a moment. They're not able to pick up the kill, but they get that dragon. And like you said, early game going much better for El Banano Banditos this time out.
Yeah, double airball actually, and worth remembering that Jiggle's first ulti on that Sejuani is now off the board. Dinged level 6 from the dragon, but wasn't really able to make good use of it. Bessie with both summoners now available, going to be much more difficult to try to take down in that bot side, and the Lulu with the heal as well, going to be pretty much a much more difficult prospect to take down either Bessie or Nineball. Not anywhere near the level 6 for the Lulu just yet, but when that comes through as well, just something added to the layers of complexity it requires to take out Jinx.
I thought you were going to say the layers of complexity in playing support, because I don't know if there are that many layers. I'm going to be very honest with you. I think the level disparity could be impactful, though. If the Nautilus hits 6 on the same wave, then very difficult for the Jinx and Lulu to do anything to contest that. And even with Bessie ticking over, unlocking that ultimate, not really the most impactful in the 2v2 skirmishes that we tend to see in bot lane.
No, you're quite right. And you know, you're worth looking at the rest of the map as well. Small advantage for Dom on that top side. Ruggers similarly about 10 CS ahead of their counterpart, but majority of this map has been played around the bot lane. It's Mutebo who got out to the bot lane first. As looking on the map, we can see Mutebo looking for a little bit of a catching of the wave and then roam down to that bot side. Similarly, Ruggers immediately clears the wave, cheats to bot lane just to try and preempt anything from the Twisted Fate.
Yeah, and you're in a bit of a sticky situation now for Banana Banditos in terms of what your map movements are, because you've been down to this bot lane, I would say, an adequate number of times, but the Jinx doesn't actually feel as far behind as she needs to be. Dom looking very aggro up in that top side. You mentioned gaining a little bit of that CS advantage, and I think the Volibear is going to be doing pretty fine up against the Garen, can interrupt that passive regen and then, well, just heal himself through all the damage that losing my sanity is going to be putting down.
Nice to connects as well.
Are going to be started up here for the real humans, so not completely eschewing all of the early game objectives in favor of El Banano Banditos, who are about 1,000 gold to the good. I would love to see another play onto Race Car Worm, though. That tower is a little bit too healthy for my liking. It's a little bit too easy for the Jinx and the Lulu to stand underneath it.
Yeah, and at this stage as well, with the items in inventory, the Jinx can just 2-rocket the backline and secure all of the minions that are there. So it's worth thinking about how easy it is to actually get access to the Jinx. You have to zone her off of the wave, as well as then being able to find space to get that wave under the turret and look for a dive or a gank or anything of that nature. to punish Bessie, who has stabilized quite nicely down on that bot side. We'll see based off of the next recall if it's been completely sufficient, as Hex Optics are picked up for Racecar Worm, this carry that we lauded through game number 1 that just wasn't quite able to get to that 4-item fantasy. Now a little bit ahead of the curve, looking to try and force us to a game number 3.
And I will say for El Banano Banditos, I think we do need to give credit to them, even at this early point in the game, because it can be so demoralizing to lose a match of League of Legends in the fashion that they did last time out. Smeebo needs to be quite careful here, but with that Rod of Ages, just has a bit more HP in his pocket to survive the burst from Ruggers.
Felt like they were looking for an all-in there as the rocket from downtown went
Whoa!
very early.
Oh, sorry. Just went by my window as, we are going on to the volleyball, committing the twisted fate. Oh, not even necessary. Okay, that's an unreasonable amount of burst.
There's a term for that in the business, and it's hella dead. That guy was not living. Really, regardless. And you know, Dom, was there much counterplay for you available there? You could have flashed the Sejuani ulti from Fog of War, but outside of that, I don't really lay too much blame at your door.
Yeah, this guy ain't Lost Boy.
No.
That is proper for the old heads. But do you know what? It's another proactive play from El Banano Banditos. It's Jiggle getting into these lanes and getting stuff done. And for all the good things that Mitai was able to do last time out, they've been a little bit absent from the Rift for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, and maybe, I was going to say, maybe that's a product of the champions that they've picked. I would argue strongly against that on second consideration. Xin Zhao is a very good early jungler. They've got double immobile carries, and I've not really seen Mitai look to punish either side of them. So, you know, it's a little bit atypical here, but it's Mitai now on this second dragon of the game that they are going to be able to pick up.
Got that secured in pocket. Solar Wraith getting a bit of a roam on towards the top side. Dom hit by the dredge line, but still so much HP that you need to burn through on the volley bear. And this is where they really thrive in these extended fights. Able to get those W stacks, and there's no ultimate available for losing my sanity. They need to be really careful. Depth charge invested. Solar Wraith is just going to have to get on out of there, and it's an attempt towards the top side, but you need a bit more damage if you're going to take down this bear.
Yeah, we need to see. Justice is available in about 10 seconds, so Garen might look for the combo there. Not going to be the case this time out, and both top laners are able to walk away, as I won't use the word limp for either side. More Dom just very happy to try and take that 2 versus 1, if nothing else. And Unending Despair already in tow as well.
Yeah, just great for those situations where the enemy jungler turns up and you'd rather that they didn't kill you.
Yeah, that's successful in that venture so far. Jiggle showing up, Heartsteel now in tow. Looking to get some dopamine stacks, but couldn't find it in the top lane. And we'll see if they can get some more, trying to find some skirmishes potentially onto Mitai, potentially onto Dom in that top side, who has really been the secondary source of frustration for the real humans. And that's where El Banano Banditos have taken it out on them. First items in across the board now for everybody, so any fights that come across, looking at that Herald in not too long a time, looking at the Drake in 3 minutes, that will be our, hopefully, first gauge of what these team compositions are going to look like when they get to clash 5 versus 5.
Yeah, and just holding here as Ruggers could be in a little bit of danger. No card thrown up by Mute Boas. Juggler's going to go onto the Jinjiao, but they're not able to find any firmer purchase. I was going to say, with this reset coming out from Bessie and Nineball, it does open up the opportunity for Jiggle to go for a... Just hold on there. Did Losing My Sanity just ult Dom when the, when the Volibear was about half HP?
Yeah, S-keyed when the Volibear didn't die was the funny part for me. Just kind of went, you were supposed to die there, and you've got like a lot more HP than I'd anticipated. But you know, Losing My Sanity, maybe doing exactly that. I mean, I think we said that every week. There have definitely been situations in all of the games where it's felt appropriate.
Yeah, he just wants to play top lane. Just let him play top lane, please. As I actually quite like this swap from the real humans down into the bot lane. Rugger's a little bit more durable. Has the cleanse, has the ultimate, but I don't think they're going to be durable enough to live through this. Able to take down Solar Wraith, and Racecar Worm tanking up the tower into 2 for 2, and there's a bear on the Rift charging down Jiggle. Does need to be aware of the gold card in Mute Bow's hand, so we'll back away, but it's another attempt at a proactive play from El Banano Banditos that doesn't pay off in the way they'd like.
No, and what does it cost them? A lot of gold onto Bessie, the person that they focused on trying to take out of this game so early, who ended up being a massive insurance policy for the Real Humans in that last game. I think this Jinx get free farm, allowing her to scale up is not going to be the win condition that maybe El Banano Banditos are hoping for. As you have to look across the item building, the inventory, Hex Optics is already there, working towards presumably the Infinity Edge, and then maybe a Zeal item afterwards.
Oh, hold on, hold on. I think there's a little bit of fighting occurring in top lane. Flash forward from Losing My Sanity, who's just like that summoner and might be losing their life here. The one shot coming through onto Nineball. The Garen alive. The locking. The ball doesn't do enough damage, but Ruggers will be able to tick him down. And now Solar Wraith came in with an attempted save on his top laner, but he's just going to be another body hitting the floor. We are 15 minutes in. This game is dead even. Both teams going blow for blow.
Yeah, Blackfire Torch, they're able to pick up the Garen Ruggers twice now. Finding these nice little picks. It's the second time in as many games where Losing My Sanity's been taken down to some tick damage. Jiggle going to interrupt onto Mitai, but Sejuani very healthy.
Yeah, there's a reasonable amount of upfront damage from the Sejuani, but she doesn't really thrive in these consistent skirmishes. Flashes away from the stun, looking for a chase down onto that Jin Jiao, but doesn't quite have it. 8-9 ball now in a little bit of danger, is going to get stunned. Gold carded, taken out by Mute Bow. Real Humans punch, but the Banditos punch right back.
Yeah, that's the second time where Nineball sort of walked in an effort to save the team and then been the brunt of the focus immediately afterwards. The squishiness here of that Lulu definitely being exploited. Good initial flash from Jiggle to get over the scatter, but then realized that there's a Lulu waiting with ulti, that there's a Syndra with a lot of damage there, so couldn't fully commit on to taking down Mitai. Will be able and will be successful in taking down this Herald as the dragon spawns on the bot side. Look at the minimap at this as this is happening. You've got Losing My Sanity, running Anchor, Solar Wraith there as well, so they're looking to try and contest for both of these. Is actually they're ganking top lane.
Yeah, they are doing multiple things at once, and they're going to be successful. I think Bessie's done a little bit better with the cross-map ult snipe. Now Solar Wraith looking to establish a little bit of vision, but you just cannot be walking up that far, and it's another kill going into the back pocket off this Jinx, who had a little bit of quiet time for the last 10 minutes, but with that Hex Optics and a little bit more kill gold in their pocket, they are at that scary position that the Real Humans need them to be.
I mean, that's Infinity Edge now for the Jinx when they go back to base. 2 kills, picking up the ulti shot onto the top side. Actually gave Hex Optics to be able to run down the Nautilus even more easily. So that was a really nice little duo play that the Jinx was able to benefit from. Dragon in tow also. It's just everything now beginning to go their way.
Oh, ultimate into the mid line. They're looking for this Jinx who's had to flash away. The depth charge still going to follow them. Meepo just about gets in range for the gold card, and Losing My Sanity will pick up the kill. That's just what this game's been, Rude Dude. Every time we see one play from one team, it's answered back immediately. And I'm going to be real with you. I think we're no closer to working out who is going to be the victor in this game. Oh.
No, we're not. Is the answer to your point. We are definitely no closer. Now there's a TP into the mid lane. It's actually a contest here.
Yeah, they're going for this, and could actually be a lot more impactful than we were giving it credit for. That Herald not getting that charge, the mid lane tower not falling down, means that Real Humans can rely on that for a bit of bastion of safety for a bit longer.
Yeah, again, I'm looking across now. Build paths are always going to tell how a game will be played. And importantly, Losing My Sanity with the serrated Dirk is sending a message to anybody on Summoner's Rift that...
I think that Yomu's is sending a message as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm playing to kill you. I'm not playing to survive. Jinx, watch out, buddy.
You got a target on your back. I mean, you're free to do that on the Garen this game because you've got the Sejuani, you've got the Nautilus, you've got your sort of tankiness and engage already allotted for. Let's just have a guy spinning into the backline, dealing 1,500 damage with his basic ability and completely ruining Bessie's day.
And then ulting the next target as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which just adds insult to injury here. And Ruggers needs to be very careful. I think obviously knows this, doesn't want to throw the scatter for fear of being picked off.
Oh, Mitai is in the area, as is Bessie, as is that Lulu as well. And I don't think that they're even going to get there before Losing My Sanity falls down. It has not been the best of series for them, not really been able to get a grip on this game, and Real Humans will be able to knock down this bot lane tower. So momentarily, the gold swings back in their favor, but of course, El Banano Banditos answer right back.
20 minutes in here, middle cot dead even. Now Jiggle looking for Mitai.
Oh, comboed into the stun from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, able to throw out the Crescent Guard and stay alive for a little bit longer. We've got a Twisted Fate who's going to be porting in a moment's time, but Mubo can't quite find the angle. Big commitment from El Banano Banditos without getting a kill.
Bessie able to hop on the right side of that cone, walks out to safety. Xin Zhao using that ulti very nicely here, twice now being able to escape on maybe sub 3-digit HP. Looking at this is incredibly risky, to be completely honest. This is an attempt to turn here, surely.
Yeah, I think we're going to be looking for the volley bear. Ultimate immediately going down on him, able to immune that with his own ult. Losing My Sanity, trying to do a load of damage, and everyone on El Banano Banditos is focusing that volley bear, and he's just not dying. Rug is able to pick up a little bit of retribution off the back half stun.
Resets.
Coming out onto Mutebo. There it is, the Jinx resets that we were begging for as Ruggers flashes over the wall to get one more kill onto Mutebo. 1 for 2 in favor of the Real Humans, and I'm not sure if they're done just yet. They're looking for a play onto Bessie. Flash forward from Jiggle. Flash forward from Race Cotworm. But the shielding is there. It's too damn much. And it's another one fight in favor of the Real Humans. Now they start to turn the screws.
And maybe had that not happened, they could have contested the Baron, but they look to try to make the hero play. Pick off in a quick 2 versus 2. But it's such awkward timing for Jiggle. The second they go for the Q on a target they see coming over the wall, the Jinx throws the zap, stops their movement, and now there's another contest. Losing My Sanity's in there again.
Yeah, but he's rooted. He can't get access to the champions he needs to be hitting. The Baron is going to be stopped. The Garen flashes away as Mitai is moseying his way on over. The Garen has already died 3 times, and I think it might be death number 4. Ruggers with the kill credit, and in the last couple of minutes, just started to edge in favor of the Real Humans.
And now they'll look to try and take the dragon off the back of this, as well as Losing My Sanity TPs in, doesn't find anything for it other than losing their own flash and life. But it's immediately, they're back over to the Baron here, Middlecott. They're not going to give this dragon up for free. They're going to, at the very least, force some sort of a contest, some sort of a response. Hawkshot goes down, and now they know that Mitai's on it. The El Banano Banditos, they've learned from their mistakes here. Jiggle, if you go for this, I think that Baron is going to be the consequence if you die.
Has to get the smite and get out, and decides better of it. Will be soul point going in favor of the Real Humans, but nothing game-breaking that El Banano Banditos are going to have to deal with, at least for the next 5 minutes. Like we mentioned, slight advantage in favor of the Real Humans. This Jinx being on 3 items is massive, but it is not a done deal just yet.
X Factor always going to be Losing My Sanity on this Garen. If the Garen gets on top of the Jinx dies. That's just how it is. It's not a situation where a 3-item Jinx, a 6-item Jinx will be able to out DPS a Garen who's gone this full lethality style. You press Q, you press E and alt, the Jinx just falls over. If, however, Bessie's got 9-ball in the back pocket, if there isn't the support of the team there for El Banano Banditos, definitely a potential problem. So you can see how easily Dom is able to just slightly kite out.
3 level difference in favor of the volley bear, and he's got that W stack, so he's exactly where he needs to be. Kill going down onto Losing My Sanity, and I think Mutebo might not be long for this world either. Jiggle is able to get on over that wall, but still chasing down this Twisted Fate, just relentless. They will find him, and it looks like they will kill him. That blue card is not going to do the job, Reginald. Mutebo still kiting away from this volley bear towards his team, but I don't know if that's the situation that El Banano Banditos want to be in. Able to get the stun, able to keep the mid lane alive, but look at Mitai. He is exactly where he wants to be in the midst of everybody. Huge knock up from the wild growth, and it took some time for the Real Humans to find this fight, but find it they do. 4 dead on the other side. They've not lost a single member. Rudude, it's starting to rhyme a bit too much with game 1.
And Mitai comes in, finds the kill onto Mutebow, and then all of the dominoes just cascade down one after the other. Jiggle alive, you've got Losing My Sanity alive. Both of them are heading out towards the bot side. They want nothing to do with this Baron take, and it is a well-earned prize for the Real Humans.
And El Banano Banditos, they dusted themselves off well after game 1. They came in with a plan, try and get Racecar Worm a bit more enabled, try and get this Twisted Fate moving around the map to get things done. But as it stands, 25 minutes in, they weren't able to do enough, and the Real Humans find themselves on the better end of things. A Syndra who is well and truly in one-shot territory, and the Jinx who is more than equipped to pick up the pieces after that first kill goes down in a fight.
Yeah, and we've got 2 minutes here until the Ocean Soul spawns. Looking at the items, it's a lot of components still sat in inventories. Once that Void Staff comes online, once that Mortal Reminder is finished, they're looking mid.
Fight on multiple fronts. Mitai being focused down. Ultimate's going to be used, but it's not going to kill him. They were able to play onto the Syndra in the mid lane, but they weren't able to take him out. And oh my word, it's just a Real Humans team fight. They do it every single time. You think you've got him? No, you don't. Back to back to back fights where they don't lose a single guy.
And that might just be it here. Baron at their backs, 25 minutes on the board. And with a Jinx who's just going to reset off these turrets, all 5 members looking good. It's the Real Humans barreling down mid lane.
We've got 10 seconds until Solar Wraith is back, but we're looking at 15 until there is anyone of note. The Nexus towers will fall. Butter against the Real Humans as they take the series in a very clean 2-0.
Again, just takes a little bit of time, takes us from the sort of 15-minute mark in game number 1. Maybe it was 20 minutes here in game number 2, but as soon as the Real Humans find that first team fight, just like dominoes, one by one, consistent, easy access. And the Real Humans show us why they are the number 1 seed coming into this and coming out of today.
Yeah, and I'm going to be real with you, Rudude. I feel like that game 2 in ways is a hell of a lot more impressive than game 1.
Yeah.
Because in game 1, they were able to build up these advantages through the mid game, and by the time we got to late game, the game was already over. That was a fundamentally even game that we were seeing from both of these teams, but the Real Humans were still able to turn it on and wipe those team fights so convincingly. I think it's going to be a very good day for a very good team to take a series versus the Real Humans. They are looking like the undisputed best team in the division, in the league, in the whole damn tournament.
And that's the other side of things as well, which is this adds a lot of a lot of power to the team that actually won and won them. It was the 3rd seed. I think the Krakens, I misspoke earlier. I think the Krakens earlier in the league did take a game in that group stage. So the fact that the Krakens were able to find a game is really, really quite magical for them, because this Real Humans team up against the best of the rest competition of El Banano Banditos, they made them look silly.
They really, really did. I think there were good game plans coming into game 2 from El Banano Banditos, right? The enhanced focus towards that bot lane, I think was excellent, but it just felt like it needed to be a little bit more. The Jinx never was out of the game. Bessie was always able to contribute, was always able to deal the damage. Yeah. And if you're investing so many resources into one part of the map to get it ahead, well, you're going to start to feel the repercussions elsewhere.
You're going to want it to stay ahead, most importantly as well. The amount of time, the amount of effort put into putting that Jinx down was substantial. Was the lead accrued owing to that substantial? Well, probably not, to be completely honest with you. Did they get the return on investment that they were looking for? I would argue no. And I think that a lot of people would argue the same as well. So for El Banano Banditos here, a good amount of time now for them to reset. Obviously, this is week 3 of the division stage. So we need to take a look at what happens in the playoffs. We've still got 1 more week of division stage to play, and that's going to be time for El Banano Banditos to lick their wounds, to find a way to get back into some semblance of form here. But before that can happen, obviously, we need to work on talking about how good the real humans actually are.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to go in, I would say maybe a little bit hipster, like, view with this. I'm thinking a little bit St. Pauli. I'm thinking a little bit vintage, like, football shirt from a Bolivian second division team. I reckon Dom had a fantastic series. I think he was absolutely immense. And losing my sanity, I think he's one of those players that you can sort of test your mettle against. But each of those matchups today, that Tom Kench especially, yes, he got a load of help coming out from his jungler, but 1v2ing on the Volibear in this game, it felt like he was the platonic ideal of a top laner. A really big ball of HP that does too much damage for you to actually ignore the fact that he's just a big ball of HP.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, really, of these bruisers, tanks, whatever we want to call them, the Cassante-esque champions, the juggernauts, as they're classed by Riot. But you can kind of get away with doing quite a lot of things, and I mean, we got to see it hand for hand how well Dom was doing at it.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Mythai, shout out Rugged, shout out all of them, the real humans. Very, very good at League of Legends. Now, I'm going to brief you on the situation. There are other best of threes occurring at the moment. As it stands, we do not know whether there will be a third game this evening, but we're going to hedge our bets, Rooted. What we're going to do is we're going to pop to a short break, and then when we come back, we're either going to be saying bye-bye or we're going to be saying more League of Legends. I'm hoping for more League of Legends, but we will see in a few minutes.
I'm Dan Penter.
My name is Mark Langton.
I'm Peter.
My name is Staff Sergeant Richie Reese. My gamer tag is Chief Lid.
Gamer tag is Pete P Gaming.
My gamer tag I play under is SG_Reaper.
My gamer tag is MaxChat. I think the thing I'm looking forward to most as part of the UVG is actually meeting new people. There's a lot of veterans out there who haven't been connected to gaming.
Meeting fellow veterans and playing with fellow veterans, that's what I'm looking forward to do.
So just staying part of a community. So when I was in the RAF, I was part of the RAF esports, so we did a few meetups during that. I'm looking forward to keeping that going with the veterans and expanding it, talking to the other services, which I didn't really do too much of.
We've started with a core of about 60 people that some of us knew, and as it grows every week, new people turn up, and I love meeting new people and getting to know them and gaming with them.
The thing with veterans is we understand each other.
I'm looking forward to being part of the UVG because for me, as a still serving in the British Army at the moment, is that setting that stepping stone for individuals who do eventually leave the services, and looking forward to what UVG can offer them as a gamer, if they are a gamer, or even if they're not a gamer. It's just the community that is offered to them from UVG, where, you know, as a serving soldier who, you know, taking that transition into civilian street is quite hard. So for them, having that community where you got ex-servicemen, ex-servicewomen, for them, they can then look at those communities, and it'll be hopefully make that transition easier for them.
I think the biggest thing that UVG will do for the veterans gaming community is to connect veterans through gaming.
Speaking with other veterans, that's the main thing veterans need to speak. We have a very thing that I am the big man and I can handle it, but we speak to each other. That's going to help our mental health.
See, I think UVG can offer a lot for veteran gamers.
But it's going to bring a lot of people who haven't really got that online social aspect. Through a lot of mental health stuff I've been through and done, and I think that's going to be a massive thing for a lot of people who don't have no one to talk to.
it's not just all about bringing gamers together. It's the events that can go on. They can bring a lot of the veteran community together, which gives them opportunity not just to sit in their homes. They can come out, meet each other, put a face to a name.
Finding this group of people who can understand what they've gone through, understand how they talk, is going to be a massive thing.
For anyone wanting to get involved in UVG, you can find us on Discord, UK Veterans GG, and if you look on any other social media, we're there on UK Veterans GG, be that TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it, we're there, and our links to Discord are in all those channels as well.
everybody. Welcome back to the BFBS Pro League here with the League of Legends on Monday. And Rudu, we have got a BFBS BG. That's for bonus game.
Woo, woo, woo!
Way too hyped about that. We're going to be seeing the final game in the series between UVG and the Roblo Warriors. Both these teams, as it stands, 1-1 series scores in Division 2. So clinching this final game of the best of three will be so important for these teams as we move through.
It will be. And I think that most importantly as well, it's a series that if we can maybe pull up the standings, if we can, because I think this was around the mid-pack where these two teams were playing against one another. Yeah, take a look on the right-hand side of your screens. They're both 1-1 already. 1-1 in series, 1-1 in games today. So it's a really big game for both of these sides to try to secure second in the group.
Yeah, and I think especially for UVG, I think they would have come into Division 2 anticipating a little bit of a stronger performance, but did lose that series up against the Trident, I believe. So I think this means a lot for them. Obviously for Roblo means a lot as well, but I think UVG had a little bit of the burden of expectation on them coming through, so they really need to show up, because 1 and 2, when you're expected to be near the upper echelons of Division 2, isn't where you want to be.
No, it's not. It's really not. And I think that for UVG, as we've highlighted, that's something that they'll have to deal with in their mentality. Now, obviously, we don't have the ideas for the drafts or what else it was. Actually, that's a complete lie. As I say that, we get them pasted into all of our information, so we know what is banned away as we move into our draft for game number 3 in just a few moments' time here. So this is a situation where the teams have actually swapped a little bit around in the meta and what we've come to expect. I see a Shen and a Camille, for example, in game number 1, which is most notably likely the supports, not the top laners, if you've just been away from League of Legends for maybe a week.
It's a little bit silly. I don't particularly want to see any level 4 Camille's walking around 15 minutes into the game.
Yeah,
we won't, because they've been banned away. But yeah, so you can't see this, but we can. UVG, game 1, drafted a big global composition. Really big focus there. Game 2, much more pick-oriented there. But for the side of Roblo Warriors, I would say composition's a little bit more balanced, and I'd say a little bit more focused towards individual picks. They're locking in stuff like the Zyra, stuff like the Fiddlesticks, stuff like the LeBlanc, champions that we don't really see all that much, but in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing on them, they could be absolutely lethal.
Yeah, they are those more one-trick champions where if you've got the games on them, if you've got the time on them, you can do really, really absurd things. And especially as somebody who might not come against these types of champions all that frequently, that also is a very real way to catch your opponents off guard. And that could equally be a route to success here for the Roblo Warriors if they can do that once again. Seems like as we're getting more and more into the Fearless, they're getting more and more flexible with the picks that they may be taking.
I mean, that's what you want to see, really. Is that that's the whole goal of Fearless, is that you get a little bit of diversity in terms of the champion picks. And I think that for those of you watching, I think that this does require a little bit of a mindset shift. Try saying that quickly. When we go into the champion select, right? We're not going to be looking specifically for compositions that all function together, all function holistically, because I don't reckon that's the best thing for these teams. But if we can get some nice enabling pairings, a good mid jungle, for instance, or a top laner that synergizes really, really well with a specific support on their roams, I think those are the sort of pairings that we're really going to look to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're very right there. This is we're looking to pick together enough champions that can do some things nicely as a unit, as opposed to an entire 5-man band that beats to the same drum. This is going to be an effort here by these two teams to get a couple of pairings that work nicely together and then end up working nicely as a team to try and find those advantages, generate those nice and early. And we'll make sure that we've got our draft as soon as possible. I think that the players are just sorting out their sides in the lobby. I've not read that yet, but I'm given to believe it's probably a good old laugh from the guys who, I mean, in game number 3 is that, again, and I want to re-emphasize this is a event that is sort of built around the community aspect and that social aspect as well, where the teams are playing for fun and for competition, so there is an element of let's enjoy this series.
Yeah, let's enjoy it, but let's not enjoy it too much. Let's not be lackadaisical. Let's not just like go to the toilet randomly whilst we're in the middle of getting into the game.
Everybody needs a pee break. Come on.
Everybody, hey, bro, the real guys on the LEC stage, they piss themselves.
Oh, right, is that it?
Well, whenever they go to an international event, they piss themselves.
Hey.
So I'm assuming, hey, oh goodness me. But we have had a little bit of insight as we're just waiting to get into the draft. We've got Joey saying that it's time for their signature Dr. Mundo, and I think they've done the most Dr. Mundo thing possible, where they have butchered the spelling of signature, so you can still recognise it as a word, but you're not going to be getting any marks for that in English class.
Yes, yeah, that's a specialty. I enjoy that quite significantly. Well, also in fairness, they spelt Joey with 3 J's, so that's immediately leading me down the path of wrongness with the language. Enjoy me saying use the word wrongness.
Wrongness with the language.
Yeah. As like the real double down on grammatical errors there, but
your English teacher is screaming somewhere.
My English teacher, I was literally. This is the second time I've told this story in as many days. My English teacher was the only person who gave me a detention because she tried to make me do burpees in class, and you know, I said no to the burpees, and then I got a detention, and I thought, well, you've had me on there, to be honest.
In English, this wasn't like they were substituting for another.
No, so again, whilst we're waiting, I might as well dive into this because it's a nice story. I got on really well with my English teacher. We were having a lovely time throughout really the entirety of my GCSEs.
Lovely.
And then we were learning about apostrophes. She said, all right, if you put an apostrophe in the wrong place, you have to do 5 burpees. Immediately asks me where to put this apostrophe. And it's like a Charles's possessive plural noun, something daft.
Yeah.
And I got it wrong. And then she goes, all right, come to the front and do 5 burpees. I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And then we had a little bit of a back and forth, and it was quite nice, quite lighthearted, I thought, you know, I was laughing. It felt like she was laughing. And then she goes, get out. Leave now. Leave the class. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was that deep. I'm so sorry.
For not doing a burpee.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it is just an English class, and I'm not doing a burpee in it. So that's kind of where I stood my ground. And what I realized later on is that she's done. I thought we were like siblings fighting, and all she's done there is like gone and called our parents by saying, "I'm going to get SLT on you." You know, she's
just deeped it. She's just deeped it a little bit there.
She really has, and that wasn't that wasn't what I was interested in as a sort of 16-year-old trying to get an English GCSE. 5 burpees did not interest me.
It feels counterproductive. It feels like it's not actually going to improve your ability to construct PL paragraphs or anything of that ilk, you know.
No, and it's important to get the PL in all of the sentences, in all of the paragraphs, really.
Yeah,
and this is now incredibly British coded, which in fairness is the BFBS. We're allowed to be British coded. But if you don't know what a peel paragraph is, then I'm afraid you just didn't have the same childhood as clearly either Middlecott or myself.
Bane of my existence. I don't want to make a point. I don't want to evidence it. I don't want to explain it, and I don't want to link it. None of the 4 things that you've suggested I do are appealing. But something that I'm finding potentially appealing here, Rudude, is a challenge that has been set to you by our. We need words to describe Owen. The accurate, long suffering
that we can say on air.
By our Owen. Come on, he's not that bad. But you have just been challenged to do 5 burpees on stream. And I've also been told by production that if you don't do them, you're gone, mate. And you're out.
Well, it's been a lovely time on the BFBS stream, everybody. Middlecott's going to solo cast this final game.
I'll get solo burpees as well.
Yeah, and you're going to have to take the burpees mantle up yourself. Unfortunately, my camera's facing the wall, and then I'd have to change everything. And
it's just so much.
Not good entertainment, and not good for camera.
Game is ready.
Cast to start game.
Cast to start the game. We are going. Woo! Champion select is on your screen. We are going to be getting into game as soon as this is done. I've been told, reliably informed by Owen, who is always correct and wonderful and brilliant about everything. We've got no spec delay, so we should be going straight from this champion select into the game without too much of a wait. Looking at the bans, not coming through particularly swiftly, Rude Dude. I'd imagine by game 3 in a series, we should have these things locked down.
You would think. However, they don't. And that's, that's the situation that we currently find ourselves in. For teams and sides, we've got the Roblo Warriors on the left-hand side. General rating of these players, we've got from Emerald through to Gold. So that's the sort of level that we're looking at for these. And then on the other side for UVG, low Diamond for the majority, down to, again, Platinum or Gold, depending on who's playing, with the notable exception of Ben Death 11, who is notorious for always having streamer mode on. Who has a very high triple-digit master rank. So the AD carry for UVG is where we need to be looking. And I think that for Roblo Warriors, we're looking at... Looks like they're mid lane.
Yeah, ban's not really giving too much of an indication of where we're going to be applying that pressure. And again, that sort of harkens back to what we were talking about in the pre-game, you know?
Hold on.
Oh,
Somebody...
I was going to get to it.
I don't care. I don't care. Somebody's name is Enyav, which, for those of you uninitiated, is Vayne backwards. It's just locked in Vayne, all right?
That'd do it.
It's worthy of my interruption of you.
Yes, it was. So what does the Vayne mean? As it stands, Enyav is
backwards.
Yeah, I know. All right. Can we get out of silly mode here? Do you need to spend some time outside to reset and be ready for learning, Rude Dude?
Please don't call Owen on me. That would be that's going to be really bad if you do.
No, we are going to get him, but obviously the Vayne, we're seeing her a lot more top lane at the moment, where she just makes life really miserable for quite a few champions up there. But of course, naturally an AD carry belongs spiritually in the bot lane. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we're going to see her down there. For UVG, initial lock-in, big focus on the team fight. When I think Seraphine, when I think Wukong, I think those R buttons causing chaos in a back line, in a front line, every which way they can hit.
Yeah, and that's the important part, is the flexibility of a Seraphine ulti, is that it just hits everybody. It can go, the extension of it means that it goes through one target into another, and can hit both the front and the back line. Wukong with the clone as well can get cyclones in both the front and the back. So for UVG here, it looks really solid. Looks like a very nice opportunity for them to try to play side lane, or try to play team fight rather, which then incentivizes Roblo Warriors here to try to play side lane, which is something that Vayne is incredibly good at. Volibear can do the same thing, and I am a little bit curious as to where this Volibear is going to go, whether it's going to end up in the mid lane, in the jungle, in the top lane, wherever it ends up going. Probably not in the mid lane. It's Norian already locked in, but you know what I'm saying here.
Hey, you know, you give that bear a wizard hat and he can do anything that he wants, I believe.
True.
But yeah, there's a lot of flexibility still in the picks that we've got for Roblo Warriors. Vayne can go into multiple position too, and I think the Orianna, we're assuming that's going to go into the mid lane. We'd be very surprised if something different happens, but functions nicely in a lot of different team compositions. So whatever ends up playing out, that Orianna should be a source of reliable healing, shielding, and damage once we get later.
And the looks locked in here, immediately followed up by an Echo ban, especially when the Wukong's already been locked on in, does suggest that they're thinking this Lux might go down to the bot side, and that we might have something a little bit spicier coming through in that bot lane, or that they're just really scared of an Echo into Vayne matchup in the top lane, which is sort of my current expectation. Obviously, the Vayne just so good at being able to bully any melee top laner. Curious to see what else they look to go for on the bans, and most importantly right now, we were told that we needed to be fearful of a Joey Dr. Mundo, and it's worth reminding people here, UVG did not allow that to happen. That was banned off the rip.
Taken away. I have just thought in my mind, Rudy, that we've been seeing a lot of like mages bot lane. Lux Seraphine as a lane to play against sounds absolutely horrible. So
yes,
UVG could throw that one down there, and it doesn't really force them to do anything crazy with their composition. That potential flex has been resolved though with the Caitlyn lock-in, so we are anticipating the Lux going into the mid lane, Seraphine in the bot lane support position. UVG leaving counter pick for that top lane. They need to know exactly where that Vayne is going before they commit to anything on the north side of Summoner's Rift.
And that's incredibly smart because technically this Wukong is also a flex that tends to do really well versus ranged champions in the top lane. I don't think this is what's going to end up being seen. Wukong top is like a very fringe pick. All right, I'll hold off of any comments until I see what fully gets rounded out. But the Caitlyn here going to be very good at establishing lane prio regardless, and worth considering that this could be a Seraphine mid to allow for the Caitlyn Lux bot lane pairing and those bindings.
Yeah, and I think that going up against the Vayne and the Karma, whilst the Karma does have a little bit of early power, the range differential can be very, very difficult to deal with. You're poked out from beyond the point that you can really even respond. Sion, I think, gives a little bit of firm tankiness to the Roblo Warriors composition, which they were lacking a little bit. And I think that if you go role by role, they're sort of conforming to a fairly standard-ish team composition. There's nothing too crazy going on there. And I think same can be said here for UVG, locking in that set. Potential questions about the reliability of their engage, but with those big team fight tools of the Cyclone and the Encore that we have already mentioned, should be enough for them.
Yeah, it should, and I really like UVG's composition. My only concern is whether or not they can get the damage, and that's actually going to largely come out of the top lane here. So I'm looking very heavily towards the set and recognize your job is not to get immediately into the backline. It's actually to take the Sion out of your backline. And that's where that damage is going to come from, because the Sion itself, not particularly threatened by a Lux, by a Wukong, can be maybe a little bit in the late game by a Caitlyn, but where that real threat, where that real power comes from is from taking this massive maximum HP tank, slamming it into the rest of the team, and then finding those big face breaker combos that can really turn these team fights.
I'll tell you what, if you've been playing any ARAM Mayhem and you've had a set versus anyone with tank engine, you've seen how much damage there can be when you throw a big beefy guy into their own team, and it's not really their fault. What's the Sion going to do? Not stack massive amounts of HP, you know? Kind of a catch-22 situation. I think that once these fights start to devolve a little bit, though, that's where I am looking at champions like the Vayne and the Volibear to have effectiveness. Very, very good at skirmishing versus a composition here from UVG that I feel like wants to stand and deliver, at least at the beginning of a fight.
They do. That is true. And I think that they've got also really nice pick. It's worth saying with this Caitlyn Lux duo, as you so frequently would with a Caitlyn Lux, their ability to lock down one target and then pick them off is going to be something very, very scary as you move into probably the mid game, not so much the late game.
As we are into the early game now, 1 minute in and nothing too crazy has happened as of yet. Is going to be that Lux in the mid lane, so the Seraphine Caitlyn bot lane, going to have a load of range, going to have a load of sustain, should do a decent job up against this Vayne. But I don't know, Rude Dude, when a Vayne gets rolling, she really, really gets rolling.
Yeah, and especially versus a composition that is largely skill shot focused with the Lux, with the Seraphine, in terms of their lockdown. Specifically, I think that there's a really large amount of pressure on Eddie this game to get on top of this Vayne, because there's one thing really that the Vayne hates, and it's that point and click. There's not much to outplay there. Wukong is exclusively point and click, right? Like you're E-ing point and click, your Q point and click, ulti similarly as well. So if Eddie can get on top of the Vayne, then that doesn't really allow for too much wiggle room. That then allows for the bot side to make a bit of a difference, and for the carries as well to get their damage down onto the Vayne.
Yeah, so if we were going to look towards the junglers for a moment here, I think Wukong and Volibear, both champions that can skirmish a fair bit with their basic abilities, but unlock a bit of additional power once they get that level 6 point.
That's exactly right. I think that this early game, largely gated by time, looks not particularly active as a laner. The Karma and the Seraphine can make something happen.
Oh, flash forward under the tower. First blood secured for Rupee on the set. Joey able to answer back, though, but advantage going over to the set early on.
Well, again, it's about that wave. The Scion actually able to collect a large majority then of the experience and also then TP back up.
Yeah.
So we'll see whether or not that's a big deal. Small green blur.
Flash forward and no slow coming out. No CC. Flash responded to there from Super. Able to get on out of there. But Caitlyn without either of their summoner spells, much more of a vulnerable prospect.
Yeah, we'll see now whether or not we can get a capitalization on that. It looks like Rupee able to actually turn back up, catch the majority of the wave, and ends up meaning that that doesn't really matter. Now Joey looking to try to proxy, but Eddie's there. Take a turret shot for good measure.
Yeah, I think that you are dying for this one. Should be able to get a decent bit of clearing on the wave as we see a kill going down onto that Lux in the mid side. Joey just trying to waste as much time as he possibly can, but he is going to go down in the end. Fair bit of damage onto Rupee, but I'd start looking at that wave. You need to get as much experience as you can whenever you go into that passive on Scion.
It is worth saying here that Rupee sacrificed a lot of experience to try and find that kill in the top lane where Eddie was also trying to help out. Meanwhile, also, we did see that mid lane found a successful gank. Marley and Small Green Blur able to sync up with one another, take down our rifle, who still has flash, but ended up falling regardless. Quick little sidestep there, gets away from any danger.
It's really not going in favor of Enyav or Devil Shot at the moment. CS advantage really starting to build in favor of Super. Ninja helping them out as well. And this is kind of what you anticipate from the Caitlyn Seraphine. They are going to be able to dominate this lane with the bonus range. For Enyav, it's about getting out of this laning phase with enough power in your pocket that once we're into the skirmish teamfight phase, the Vayne can really do what she wants to do.
I mean, getting to that stage is the tricky part, especially up against the Caitlyn. And thank you to hold the point here. Looks like Marley's looking for a bit of beef in the mid lane. Misses the W there, but another proxy from Joey here.
Yeah, and this is actually denying Rupee a fair amount of experience at the moment. Joey is likely going to be dropping down again, but not before he's able to get that decimating smash off and deal a fair bit of damage to the wave. He's actually just slowly walking himself out
6.
as the level 6 as well. Goes for the ultimate onto Rupee, will fall down. I don't think he's going to be able to claim up the set in trade. But look at this, denying all of that experiences in the bot lane. It's gone from bad to worse here for the Roblo Warriors as that Karma falls down. A little bit more gold going into the back pockets of UVG.
Gonna be able to take the Drake as well, it looks like. Maybe just sniffing around to try to contest. Small Green Blur fishing, but not actually going to be able to get in time. And I have been reliably informed, despite the current state of the Caitlyn's name, we are okay to use it, as this name has been used for many moons, sort of 10 plus years. We've been told that this name has been used. So
Super going.
Current connotations aside, I'm gonna stick with it.
I didn't say a single thing. I don't know what you could possibly be referring to, Rudid. Wow. 6 minutes in, we are looking at a pretty favorable game state here for UVG. That Caitlyn has really got off to the races in terms of doing what she needs to do in the early stages. Rupee, whilst they've been bullied around a little bit by the Scion and have fallen to a not unsizable CS deficit, the set is absolutely a-okay. They're going to be able to play out this lane with no problems, even as it gets a little later.
Yeah, and I think that's the crucial part for the set is just, well, can I press ult on the Scion? Like, do you have a button that suppresses my R? Well, you got a little bit of CC, but ultimately no. And if you're in my face and I ulti you into your team, the set does his job just dandily. So Rupee's job in this game, not thwarted by these shenanigans of Joey.
Not at all. We've just seen Caitlyn go back on that first bait, picking up BF Sword, a little bit of attack speed, and those boots as well. So Enyav walking into that bot lane is going to be very scared, and I think rightfully so, because early on you just had to deal with the bonus range as we've got a little bit of a fight in the mid lane. Self-ultimate there by the Orianna. Marley falling down our rifle with their first kill of the gamers. A little bit of pressure being applied to Rupee, flashing forward onto Joey. not able to find the kill, but look at that set passive. They are healing up. They are not in the worst place in this 1v2, especially not taking any damage from the Sky Splitter there. Small Green Blur chasing them down, but they need to be careful of the damage from the set early on. Has that face breaker, gets it off, takes out the volley bear and the Scion as well. You can get groupie as much as you like, but he's still gonna hit you, and he's gonna hit you hard.
Yeah, and especially in the face of a 1-4 now, Scion. This set doing incredibly well. Going to be an absolute fiend to try and take down in the later stages.
Oh no, Devil getting played onto. Enya flashing forward, looking for the play onto the enemy Caitlyn. Pops the barrier, pops the ultimate. We're looking for this calm. We're able to take her down as Enya, with that lethal tempo, is able to get the kill down onto Caitlyn. Looking for the Seraphine as well. The Silver Belt stacking up. One more auto would do it. Dodges away from the spells. It's a double kill for the Vayne. Sorely needed from the Roblo Warriors. About time they got some good news.
A really nice play down on that bot side. And like you said, it's the best time for it, in the best place as well. The Vayne going to be that late game carry, the one that they have to rely on as this game gets later. So a double kill rather for Enya puts the game exactly where it needs to be. Working towards that Blade of the Ruin King as that first item should be very, very favorable, as again, it looks like we can kill Joey multiple times on this top side, but the story isn't going to change.
Yes, flash forward from Marley, traded out there from our rifle. Junglers waiting in the wings for both of the mid laners, so those summoner spells being off the board is going to be an inviting prospect for them. Grub's going to be started up here for UVG. They were able to get that first dragon as well, so early game objectives going in their favor, as well as the gold lead, but still need to keep our eyes on the Vayne. If Enyav is able to do that pre-10 minutes, then 20, 30 minutes into the game, they're going to be looking scary.
Yeah, the dancing of the Vayne is always what you want to be keeping your eye on. How well, how successful, how easy is it for that to happen?
Ninja is going to spot out Small Green Blur here, who I think took a little bit of time to recognize that they were on a ward there. And so any potential for a dive coming out for the Roblo Warriors is going to be thwarted. And I think that's big. This Caitlyn dies again with the Vayne picking up the kill. Then the early game has fundamentally swung back in favor of the lane that really shouldn't be winning.
No, and I think that overall here, we're looking at a solid start for UVG. Obviously, we take a look at the gold. They're about 2k up. I think that the second any CC lands onto the Vayne, they also just get blown up. You know, with the amount of CC that they can lay on top of one another, with the fact that the Caitlyn can get in there with traps. So now we're looking at a fish down on this bot side. The Scry is giving away.
Yeah, got the catch onto the Karma immediately. Charm going out onto Enyav as well. Pops into the final hour, just about gets the last auto through. Dodges away from the spells once again from Ninja.
Whoa.
And it's the same thing all over again in the bot lane. The Karma falls first, but the Vayne gets the kills that she needs. Response in the mid lane with that flash being down. Marley, easy pickings. UVG, they're falling down on the bot side, but they continue to accelerate everywhere else on the map.
And Enyav, importantly, playing on the very limits of what a Vayne is capable of there. Multiple times stepping forward for the auto on sub 100 health, is playing with fire in every sense of the word. Now gets to come back and is importantly profiting from that. This incredibly risky playstyle that I feel like you have to play with when your team is getting battered everywhere else is working for them.
Devil Shot moving over. We've got Small Green Blur as well. They get an initial route down onto the calm, but they're not able to get the final spark as well. This Wukong will be shut down. Gold going into the back pocket of the Rihanna, starting to spread around those advantages. As the Drakes are traded over. Small Green Blur still looking for it, but they've gone too far forward. Rooted and shot down. Gold for Supergoon is exactly what UVG want right now. This Caitlyn needs to be able to compete with the power level that the Vayne is pulling out. And as it stands, they are doing just that.
Solo kill on the top side once again for Rupee as well. That's a 1-5. Scion now working towards a Stride Breaker, maybe, as first item for the Scion. You can see down on this bot side, Devil, yeah, you're stepping a bit too far forward, and now underneath the turret all on your own, and you need to make some miracles happen if you want to. Well, I feel like you've been left alone, which is a bit to your benefit.
Got the Orianna moving over. Marley is unspotted. They're going to pop into the final hour, go forward immediately, get stunned, rooted, shot with everything. You need to be so careful. Still able to pick up a kill in Retribution. So despite getting hit with absolutely every single skill shot the enemy were able to throw at them. The Vayne gets out okay. Now our rifle with no mana is in a dire situation, has enough just about get the Q off, secure the route, and maybe secure their escape, but not if Small Green Blur has anything to say about it. That is a very large purple blur landing directly on your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Battered down by the Dusk and Dawn. First kill of the game for the Volley Bear. Obviously, he is on the board with assists, but first kill in their name is going to feel really nice. And as for Enyav there, a bit of a blunder. Ended up dashing forward immediately onto a trap into the face of Seraphine E as well. So kind of took everything all at once. And we can get to see that, or rather we hope to see, that that's not replicated.
Yeah, Rupee demonstrating that even with the entire length of the lane, they do not have enough damage to take down the Scion just yet. That Skybreaker, nice in terms of the laning phase for finding the catches initially onto the Scion, but I'm imagining that's going to have some really big value once we get a little bit later, slowing down this Vayne, making it a bit harder for her to navigate through the team fights as Ninja is not quite able to connect on that encore.
I hate that wall too, Ninja, don't worry. I'd fire my ult at it if I could.
Well, I think in many ways they were trying to charm the wall, so maybe they're more enamored with the wall than you are.
And you know what? That's entirely possible. I've never once thought, wow, I'm enamored by this wall. So well done, Ninja. Congratulations.
Yeah, very clearly weren't a big fan of the GDR.
That's gone over me. I'm so sorry. So sorry. Congratulations at home if you got that one. I've got no clue.
Any Cold War fans out there?
Okay, yeah, definitely not. I've got no clue. Again, we've established writing subjects, not my thing. History, very much on the cards for that as well.
Oh dear, Rupee is... Well, it feels like Rupee is proxying at the moment, but that tower is down, so he can kind of just walk up and do that. The set is... Oh my word, off to the races. Our rifle has got a nice snipe down onto Marley with the Arcane Comet, and this Lux is starting to get pretty scary too. Rupee chasing down Small Green Blur, who has to ult defensively, but that's not going to help him out, because we're flash ulting under these towers, baby. That Volley Bear, super low, super dead. Our rifle finishing him off.
Yeah, the flash looks auto attack, not a common strategy, but one that's proven effective here, Enyav.
Oh, we're going into the bot lane, the double Cyclone. We're getting a pick onto the Karma, but not enough to finish her off. That was a little bit ambitious, but it nearly works out for UVG, and now Enyav has to defend at this tower with a sub 200 HP support, and I think we're just going to be seeing the second structure fall down in favor of UVG.
Yeah, and importantly here, I think that's, well, firstly, that's all three turrets that have gone down, so UVG just slowly and sort of in every single lane finding incremental advantages, so to the point that they've won the laning phase handily. But getting any opportunity to burn the Vayne's ulti where she doesn't get anything from it is a massive boost to your bot lane power. Get to see how on this top side Rupee can kind of walk with the minion. It's going to be happening really across the rest of the map. As now, looks like Super Goon moves into the mid lane, 20 CS lead there. Everything's going really well currently for UVG. Need to be careful for Enyav, about 1,000 gold away from that Ginsu's Rageblade, and when that comes online, there is obviously the fear factor that comes from that champion, but at the minute, it's just not strong enough.
Not quite there. And obviously, a Vayne on 2 items, and a Vayne on 3 items, and a Vayne on 4 items is scary. Not as scary as this Lux, apparently, who is just deleting Marley from off of his screen, it seems like. But it's not like Super Goon has been put super far behind. This Caitlyn can still absolutely operate as it's a flash forward, and it's an ult committed R rifle. Just getting caught with their hand in the cookie jar a little bit, and Joey is going to be more than happy to pick up that gold. We've got a dragon spawning, both teams still looking to fight.
And I think here, importantly, with 5 seconds on the respawn, Marley can TP in and try to make the bit of the difference here.
Oh, we're going in onto the backline. Small Green Blur is going to get charmed, as is Devil Shot, but Enyav is completely untouched. But they are surrounded by 4 members of the enemy team. Tumble forward, going to get hit in the face by Set, and there is nothing you can do against that. Marley now caught the shockwave too little too late. It's a 4-kill fight in favor of UVG.
Yeah, and they just needed to be there a little bit sooner as the rest of the Roblo Warriors. Not quite on time, not quite together either. As ultimately, they just didn't have all of their people around at that same window, it meant that the fight was very bitty, very easy for the Caitlyn to sort of sit back, relax, not feel under too much threat. An insane amount of value from the Seraphine as well. That Echoes being online so early on into this game really meant that the Vayne was consistently trying to get the damage down, consistently looking for lethal, but not particularly close at any stage.
Yeah, and it feels like almost a similar situation to what we saw with Racecar Worm earlier on in the day, where the AD carry is strong, no question, but if the pieces around you aren't strong enough to give you the time to deal the damage, then doesn't matter if you're 5 kills, doesn't matter if you're 10 kills. You can't do what you want to.
Of course, the reason you pick the Vayne is to hopefully circumvent a little bit of that, as Rupee spots Marley and probably just kills them.
Yeah. I like the standing still there. Absolutely no hope of making it out of there. And for Roblo Warriors, that's got to feel rough. But that's what happens once you lose these tier 1 towers. The safe zones on the map become constricted just slightly. Building up a little bit of pressure in this top lane. Joey, it doesn't matter how many times he dies, he's always going to be able to get that push done. But in the mid lane, we're seeing the Herald being summoned, that tier 2 already falling, and there aren't enough people to defend this inhib tower.
Yeah, notable weaknesses of the Vayne are wave clear, so this is not a good spot for Enyaf to be in solo. I mean, that inhibitor turret has now fallen.
Yeah, they're going for the engage onto the Vayne as well, and there's just nothing that he can do. The Roblo Warriors sort of getting caught a little bit there. As now they're going for the engage, trying to catch out all 3 members of the push from UVG, and they are going to be successful in that endeavor. A multi-angle strike, exactly what you need to do versus this composition that is so good at setting up and sieging in a lane.
That was with clinical precision. I had Sion coming from one side, Volibear from the other. The ball on top just to add insult to injury. That was really solid by the Roblo Warriors, and maybe if they can replicate that time and time again, there's an opportunity for them to begin a comeback. But as it stands, I feel like that was probably an even play at best, as it was 2 turrets falling in the mid lane in exchange for 3 kills, yes, but you know, lots of map pressure going over to UVG. I think they even took the bot lane tier 2 as well, so actually 3 turrets for 3 kills. The turrets are permanent at the end of the day.
Yeah, as is class. I've heard. But
and form.
No, we established last week the form is absolutely not forever. And I'm going to be feeling really bad if I'm Enyab at the moment, because they got to that Blade of the Ruined King nice and early on the Vayne, and they've just been sat on these Gwynce's components for what feels like 10 minutes. And it's another one of those items like the Dust and Dawn that we were discussing earlier on, that you really need to get that completion because the passive is just so damn good. This is really risky here for Enyaf. You just can't stand that far forward, buddy. Eddie the Rizzler with the easiest kill of his life, as down goes the final spark, down goes the Volibear, and honestly, it's starting to look like we've got the real humans on the Rift. The way that UVG are just taking over these fights. Joey decides better than diving into 5 members of the enemy team, especially when his jungler and ADC are already off the board.
And this is a really small thing, but Rupee there plays very nicely just to walk up and tank the Sion ult. Especially when it's Titanic Hydra Sion, there's always that potential to do a little bit more damage than the squishies maybe are expecting. So all Rupee does there, stands in front, tanks it. Our rifles found Devil Shot, and that's off screen without the ulti, by the way, so... insanely fed on this Lux. Baron goes down, and if I don't see a Medjai's in your inventory R rifle, I'm incredibly sad.
Yeah, they've got 8 stacks on the Dark Steel, and they've seemed to make a bit of a habit of just getting kills that we can't see. I think that maybe next time we look at UVG, we need to have a POV stream, particularly on our rifle, because they do seem to have a tendency to just pick up advantages where it doesn't seem like they should.
Lady of Luminosity, but we've not really been able to see anything that has gone on as far as these interesting, nice, cool picks are concerned. You know, a little bit disappointing here that we've gone for the Aether Wisp as opposed to that Medjai Soul Stealer. Maybe it's a product of the bank account, but more likely, as you've found so many kills so consistently, it's a product of recognizing that if the Sion does get on top of me, I've got very little to stop him from killing me.
Yeah, and the Medjai's is great until you die, and then it becomes a heck of a lot worse. We are seeing a flash engage actually here from Small Green Blur. Really over-aggressive, you'd have to say, as Eddie Rizzler is able to buy a load of time. Volibear soloing out the Caitlyn, should be able to secure a kill, but they're just buying so much time. The flash away kiting, there's the shockwave, massive for the Rob Lowe Warriors. A 3-for-1 fight, a dragon to stop the soul sacking, but we need to be looking at top lane. Rupee has already taken down that inhib tower. The inhib is not long for this world.
And might be able to find a mid lane inhibitor as well, as our rifle is going to have ulti up in a couple of seconds here. So that's one inhib that goes down with the Baron. There's a second that falls also. No final spark to pick up those low HP members, the low-hanging fruit of the Rob Lowe Warriors. But they did find a fight. It was 4 versus 5. Does it stop the Baron? I mean, maybe. But did they get enough with it? I think so.
I'm going to be real. I don't think it matters how you get it done. But if you get a Baron and then get 2 inhibs off that, I'm very, very happy with this state of play. So I don't think UVG are going to be complaining too much about what's going on. And at the moment for the Rob Lowe Warriors, it feels like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Every single position on UVG has the capacity to cause you quite a few problems. And so any 4v5 that you take, even if you win it, not necessarily going to provide you advantages once everything is said and done.
Now, of course, the game for UVG kind of plays itself. When you've got 2 inhibitors down, League of Legends 101 textbook dictates you go to the lane with the inhibitor still standing. Okay, well, Devil Shot has just taken a Caitlyn ult and a little bit extra and then almost died. I think that's very close to be standing, but they've gone to the lane with the inhibitor, Middlecott, and there's not much of a defense there.
Well, Joey trying to get something, but once again, we're going to be body blocked as Eddie the Rizzler going into the backline. He is going to die, but he's already been able to take out one. Now, though, Enyav gets rooted and takes so much damage immediately. Weren't able to dodge away from the crucial skill shots from the side of UVG. And that's going to precipitate a 1 fight. It might just precipitate the end of the damn game, dude, as that inhib goes down and the respawn timers are too long for the Rob Lowe Warriors.
Yeah, a 6th death for Joey. Going to need to be miraculous in terms of clearing these minions, but I don't think he's going to be able to do nearly enough with double super minions pouring in from the mid lane.
UVG will clean up those towers. They will clean up this series and get themselves that desperately needed win to keep themselves alive at the top of the standings in Div 2.
So 2nd place now secured for them, obviously pending the rest of the results that happened through the day. And they keep themselves at the very minimum in 2nd. Really nice stuff from UVG, a team that probably looking at pushing a little bit higher than Division 2 in the first place, but find themselves here all the same. An excellent showcase of really what they can do as a composition of 5 players. I think Eddie understood the assignment perfectly. Make Enyav's life miserable, and once that happened, the games and the fights were just won.
And I think we saw how difficult it was for the Vayne in this game, right? You got off to the races early on. You got that big lead coming out of the laning phase, which you really shouldn't have done. But still, you're going up against the Lux. You're going up against the Seraphine that can lock you down from so far away and have enough damage from themselves and the rest of the guys around them to put you in the dirt before you can contribute. I'm going to be real rude, dude. I feel like the biggest thing from this series is the Owen behind the scenes can actually honestly say we had a nice game of League of Legends that was a little bit bloody, had some kills and had some constant action. So a nice final 3rd bonus game to finish off on, I think.
Yeah, BFBS BG to be remembered.
Bonus, not bad game. Bonus game, not bad game.
Bonus game, not bad game. Nobody ever said bad game. That's the... No one. That's manifesting in the wrong sense here. But either way, it was a really nice night once again here. The BFBS Esports channel, never disappointing in terms of our League of Legends games, and just happy to get to do it alongside yourself here, Middlecott, as well.
It's been good fun. That first series that we had today, the real humans demonstrating that they are the team to beat. We've had a wonderful sort of tour of the upper echelons of Division 1 ever since we've moved into the division play, with various permutations of 1 through 4 seed playing up against each other. But at the end of that, it does feel like the real humans are the team at the top of the park.
Yes, and we have got more results that are just coming in. So again, thanks to Owen from behind the scenes here. Obviously, we saw El Banano Banditos lose 2-0 to the Real Humans. The Lions were able to take a 2-0 up against the Paragons, which is a pretty big game for them. The Renegades, this is back in Division 2. The RAF Renegades took down UKDMEL Draco. That was another match that we were talking about, really important at the bottom of Division 2 to try and keep these teams competitive. And we obviously just saw the end of UVG taking down the Roblo Warriors for today as well.
Yeah, I feel like the teams that we sort of softly expected to show up really showed up today. I think that going into that match between the Real Humans and the Banana Banditos, I think coming in as a neutral, it would slightly favor the Real Humans at the beginning, and by the end of it, you're massively favoring them every single time they step onto the Rift. And for UVG, they needed that recovery. They needed to get a series win under their belts, and I think that the way that they did it in that final game, where it was kind of coming from everywhere, is going to be a really great morale booster and is hopefully going to get them back into the swing of things, because there's some quality on this roster. We just need to see it a bit more often.
Yes, there absolutely is here. We've got one more week of division play. That starts next week on the Monday, again, as always here. So this is a exciting time to be watching the BFBS Pro League. After next week, of course, we are into the playoffs. 2 weeks of playoffs to close us out for our inaugural season. And, I think we got a good glimpse of what some of those playoffs might look like today.
Yeah, do you know what? Best of 5. I am so hyped for these sort of longest series. I feel like we've been teased into a little bit with the format, but seeing the likes of Banana Banditos, Krakens, Humans, UVG as well. I want to see 5-game series going on, because I think that those are the purest form of League of Legends and where we're going to get the most entertainment. But Rude Dude, I feel like we are about to close things off, unless I get any messages from Owen of things that I need to talk about. So before he's able to do that, final thoughts on the day and final thoughts looking forward to that last week of division play.
Yeah, it's going to be really important. Again, the team's just really looking to not be bottom of their groups of the division. So that's the goal for these teams. Obviously, if you've got a couple of wins under the belt, then it's all playing for seeding more so than anything else. But we got to see a really good glimpse of what we theorized would be our 2 top teams, and it wasn't particularly close today.
Yeah, so there's going to be some work being done on the drawing board, I imagine, for quite a few of our teams after seeing what the Real Humans were able to do. But for this evening, at least and at most, that is going to be us. Rude Dude, thank you so much for joining me on the cast once again.